Good morning to everyone. Wherever you may be from, wherever you may be sitting, thanks for making us part of your day. RTP Media back on a Friday. My voice is absolutely fucked, and I really hope Felice brings it today. Hopefully she has more voice than me. Let me turn off my notifications and my Bluetooth real quick. Hello, sunshine. How's my voice
Morning.
today?
It's wow. I didn't. I was just telling everyone the Discord about your tummy ache.
All right. Well, I'm not going to tell you things anymore if you're just going to. Look,
Hey,
I've
they're
been.
being hard on you. I just wanted them to know you're in pain.
Okay. Yeah. Look at the video I just cut, though.
I know. I
Did
love
you
that
watch
video.
it?
I literally was just watching it. You should play it. That's hilarious.
All right. I'll play it.
I totally forgot about that.
I did not. I'll play the video. Let's go here. Let's see. We need... Christmas is right around the corner, and I am looking forward to my $500 stimulus check from Gorilla Radio, who made this stupid bet yesterday, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and the video never came through. Here's the clip of the bet we made. Real quick, just hear me out. Even if that video existed, Gorilla Radio.
It does. It
Okay,
does.
okay, fine. That video exists.
And I wonder if the woman was there.
I haven't asked the question yet. Why would that video be better evidence than the actual data that they're showing us on the website?
Okay, change it from fentanyl. Maybe.
Why would it be better,
I
said?
yell a lot.
Well, I
Why
think
would you take a video of somebody speaking who's not showing you statistics, who's just saying something? Why is that better evidence than the actual statistics?
I think
You know why? Because it agrees with you. And you
No.
don't like statistics when they don't agree with you. So you're talking about a video that I'm going to guess, if we ever find that video, does not say what you think it says.
Oh, it does.
I will bet you right now, I will bet you $500. $500 that video doesn't say that more drugs are coming across the border than at legal points of entry. Deal?
Yeah. Yes. Deal.
$500.
Deal.
You have till the end of today to send that
Deal.
to me. I tried. I went through the internet. I looked all over the internet. I tried to find the video you were looking for. Here's the closest thing I could find.
Comment a little bit on the last speech from the other side. They said the vast majority of fentanyl coming across in this country comes from designated points of entry. And you hear that said. But the reason, I think what they should say, is the vast amount of fentanyl that we catch comes across from designated points of entry. There are, depending on the month, 30 or 40,000 people who are gotaways who come across between designated points of entry. We never catch them because they're called gotaways, and nobody is monitoring places that are not designated points of entry. So clearly, if you want to sneak fentanyl across the border, you would do it between designated points of entry, and it would not show up on any statistics because we don't catch those people. Thank you.
And that's okay.
Awesome.
I am a good atheist man, and I'm not going to hold you to a bet that you made with your pride. So I'm going to give you an olive branch here. Instead of $500, I'm going to cut that in half. Instead of $500, I'm going to do $250. But here's the caveat. That money isn't going to me. That money goes directly to Nina. You send that money, $250 to Nina, with a note that says, Nina, you are perfect just the way you are, and we'll call it good. I'm cutting it in half, but I need proof that you sent $250 to Nina with the message saying, you are perfect just the way you are, and we'll consider this squashed. That's the video. So I don't know if Gorilla Radio's been tagged. That's what we're doing. Buy yourself something nice, Nina.
I'm gonna message him. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
if you
That
could shoot,
makes my morning.
if you could shoot that to him. Somebody was in the guest box. Sky High Solo. What's up? Sky High, are you opposition? Just looking for opposition right now. So we'll see what Gorilla. I figured that if I also did figure, like, if I tried to collect on the bet, there's no way I'm gonna collect. But I thought if we did it that way, he'd feel a lot of pressure to have to free Nina. Hashtag free Nina. We should make a hashtag free Nina shirt. Where's Whisper at? Whisper, where's the hashtag free Nina merch? I'll put it up on the website. I'll make no money on it. Or we can just print a bunch of them. We can do that. All right, Whisper's on it. Did anybody? Okay, they bounced out of the box. I saw. Did you see somebody was using my potato today? Did you see that in the Discord? Oh, your mic is off. Your mic is off. So whatever cute thing you're saying right now,
I
nobody
was
can
just
hear it.
trying. I was just
Thank you.
sticking my finger in your mouth.
You're so weird. Why do people think
It's
I'm
Friday.
the weird one? It's Friday.
I am
It's
weird. I
Friday.
never claim not to be weird. I'm super weird.
I am. I'm going to spend the weekend at my old house. It's going to be very strange. I'm house sitting my own dogs at my old house this weekend.
That is strange.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I think it's going to be an emotional breakdown. That's what it sounds like.
Every day virtually is an emotional breakdown for me.
I'm aware.
Look at this. Look at this guy.
Well, look who it is.
Hello.
Not okay, Felice. Not okay.
What,
Thank
the
you,
fingers
thank
in
you.
the mouth. Sorry.
Thank you.
Hands to
Not
myself.
okay.
Thank you. He's defending me. He's saying it's not what you did. It's that you're mocking me. That's what he's upset about.
I
Felice.
doubt that's what it is.
He does
You're-
not like when people mock me. That's
You are
what this
absolutely
is.
incorrect. I'm on the shirt though. I'll make sure that happens. That's
let's
an awesome
see.
video.
Did you send it to Guerrilla Warfare Radio?
I did not, but I did repost.
I just
it.
messaged him some antagonizing words.
All right. Homeboy's back in the Sky High solo. Are you opposition? I'll bring you up if you are.
All right, I'm gonna get out of here, guys.
All right. Hey,
Later, geezer.
No.
hydrate, my friend. Don't pull a muscle.
Felice, no, stop.
See ya. Say hi to Mrs. Whisper for us.
She said she's
Yeah.
pulled all the muscles already.
She's
right.
my favorite person in that house.
Same. Followed by however many dogs and children there are. You're dead. You're dead fucking last. In fact, I like the fireplace better than you. Substantially better.
That's fair. Later.
See it. Is that his audio breaking up? You get that? Is that my audio? Your audio? Is that you, Felice? Are you hearing that? You're muted again, Felice? You're muted. Your mic is not on, Felice. Oh, you guys can't hear me? Alright, hold on.
Okay, I can hear you now. I don't know whatever. I
All
said,
right.
someone in the comments said, don't sit for your ex, bro. Don't house sit.
Don't what?
For your ex, bro. Don't house sit for your ex, bro.
I love it up there, though. I did love my house. It's so great. There's this big, by the pool, we have like this big daybed thing, and I like to eat vegetables like mushrooms and lay there for like hours at a time. I just like vegetables. It's the greatest place. The trees like kind of hang over, and then if you eat enough vegetables, the trees start talking to you, which is really cool. And they'll breathe. So that may be me tonight. We'll see. I don't know what the weather's looking like. Let's see if I'm gonna bring dude up because I don't know if he's opposition or not. But what's up?
RTP. I just wanted
Hey,
to say. I
what's
just wanted to say
up?
one thing.
Yeah, you're
Last
good.
night in Good Troubles live,
Oh no!
I just wanted to thank you for the epic roast battle. Me and you were like going back and forth
I
against.
forgot about
That was
That was-
we added each other a couple times, and we were kind of like tag teaming the glizzy monster.
Jeff showed up to Good Troubles.
Oh, tell me
And-
about this. I was in my own little world last night.
It was hilarious.
I mean, it was exactly what you'd expect out of Jeff, but Good Trouble's so good. He was just like, no, Jeff, that's not what any words mean. And Jeff would try and move on, and Good Trouble's like, no, Jeff, that's not what tone policing is. No, Jeff, that's
He
not
got
what
the
it...
tone policing. He still
Oh,
doesn't
it's
know what that
amazing.
means.
RTP. Next time you send him that many glizzies, I'm gonna need at least one brat, man. Like I was getting hungry too. Like that was so hilarious.
I started blasting him with glizzies, and then I just started hitting him with like super generic insults. Like, I bet HVAC dusts his house with toilet paper. Right? Just think about it. Like, if you dust with toilet paper, it's chaos. It just falls apart. Like if there's any sort of friction at all, your toilet paper is gonna fall apart. I think I said he orders, what's that? Cold cut combos with extra mayo and no veggies.
What'd you say about the cologne thing?
Oh, I said he puts water in his cool water cologne bottle because there's still some smell left in it. So it's just hitting him with generic insults.
I was at work and I just wanted to come up and say that was hilarious. Thank you.
I
For
forgot
entertaining
about
me
that.
for a little bit.
I was heavily medicated at that point. I had kind of forgotten about that, so thanks for bringing that back up.
That's all I wanted. Thank you for everything. And
I was
everything
wondering
do.
if people were going to bring up your behavior last night.
Yeah, we can bring it up if we
But
want.
thanks, R2P. Can you drop me?
Yeah, I got you.
Can you
Alright,
drop
thanks.
me? People are begging to leave our show. That's a good sign. Please let me out of here.
I got yeah, I've been pretty good about not medicating during the weekdays. I learned that was a problem for me. And last night I just went for it. I honestly last night at some point was convinced it was Friday night, by the way.
It felt like a Friday.
Yeah, I was messaging my Republican friends about golfing tomorrow, but I was saying tomorrow yesterday. They're like, "We're not playing tomorrow. What are you talking about?" And I just
Lost
kept
a day.
going. Yeah, I'm not proud of some of the things that I
Well, as long as
said
people are
last night, but-
confronting you about your behavior last night, it's my turn.
Go ahead.
Oh,
What
yeah.
did I do?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there were so many things we could really call out, but at one point, I started receiving messages from people telling me that, again, you were talking about me in Dougie's live.
Probably. I mean, probably. I don't remember. I know it's some. I did have to go to my like ultra secret backup account because I told the story of the 2 times I lost my virginity, and I didn't want that on my main account. So
Yeah,
I had to
you
go.
told the story of my love story with Bad Views yet again for like 20 minutes, regaled
know it was-
everyone with tales about conspiracy theories.
Yeah, are you embarrassed? I thought you
mean,
and Bad Views had a good relationship. I didn't know you were
We
embarrassed of
do.
this relationship. Yeah, I had no idea.
Well, just continue talking about it then. I mean, it's no big deal.
What? How is that going, by the way?
It's going fine.
Is there any updates? What are you going to go up there for Thanksgiving? I'm going to be up there for Thanksgiving. You want to catch a ride?
Yeah, carpool. We'll talk
I mean,
about
I'm
it later.
leaving. I don't know when I'm leaving, but if you want, you can catch a ride with me.
We had to drive to Utah together. Probably
Yeah.
only one of us will make it.
Yeah, I'm going to stop in
Are you
St.
going?
George.
Are you stopping in Vegas? Oh no.
It depends on when I leave. So there's Formula One this weekend in Vegas. So if I leave on Sunday, probably not. I can't. Nobody will comp me a room in Vegas on Formula One weekend, and so I'd have to wait till Monday. So I'm either going to do that, or I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through. In the background, I'm going to go through St. George, where I can maybe stop and see Yolanda.
Nice.
Yeah.
St. George. Yolanda lives in St. George. Okay.
Well, I don't know exactly where Yolanda lives. I probably should not have doxed her like that. But
Yeah,
it-
that
I
just
know it's
happened.
not actually in
putting
St. George.
everyone's business out there 24
Yeah,
hours a day. Don't
I do
tell
know
this
that she
man
does-
anything if you don't want him to be 6 hours later in a live screaming about it.
Although I think she has said that on a live, but I know she doesn't live in St. George. She lives somewhere around about there. It could be
Someone asked
anywhere
who
with
Yolanda is. You want to clarify what you're
If you
talking
don't know
about?
who Yolanda is, that's on you. I don't know what to tell you. Yolanda's wonderful. Do you know how Yolanda came into the group?
No, that's what I'm saying. Tell the story because I
Oh,
don't know.
yeah. We were doing a live one day. I think it was maybe one of the first times I had brought up that I was ex-Mormon. And Yolanda hopped on and just to let us know that she was also ex-Mormon, but like way better than like my ex-Mormon. Like she came from like polygamist ex-Mormons.
Yeah, the Southern Utah ex-Mormon.
Yeah. And so that's how we met her. We taught her how to use, well, we didn't teach her how to use Discord. Someone else taught her how to use Discord. And then she's been there ever since as a staple of the RTP community. She is family. And she doesn't like me that much, but I like her.
I have a question. Why do you always say she's 6'9"?
I've never said she was 6'9". What are you
Yes, you
talking
have.
about? When have I
I don't
said
even
that?
remember the things you say.
All right, I might have said it. I have no idea how tall Yolanda is.
Does that have
or
to
is
do with
not.
everyone saying you're short?
Probably.
Okay.
I am. That is I am gonna do a hide off with Whisper while I've been stretching and I've been working on my posture, so I stand up. Look at this. Look right at me. See that? Do I look? See
I know,
normal?
I have bad
And then,
posture, too.
do you see that? I have bad posture,
I
but I've been
see.
working
Me
on
too.
it.
I need to get one of those things that like makes you keep your shoulders back. That's sports though.
I have
like
one.
low
They
back
suck.
ones.
They suck.
I do
have
too.
them.
We should wear them one day.
Do you have? Is it like the Canna Hemp one or whatever? The green
Yeah.
and black one? Yeah, same one. I hate that thing. It
It
pinches in
hurts.
my
It-
armpits.
Yeah, it like cuts your arms. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It does
Thank
not
you.
feel good.
But I constantly look in there and try and sit up like this. I feel like an idiot, but I'm working on my posture. By the way, this hoodie
Hold still.
that they sent me, I did drop the link. Some people asked me. They sent me this Mac Miller hoodie.
I love that hoodie.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was, but they sent it to me, and so there you go. Maybe we can get another one and we could go matchy-matchy.
Oh my god,
see if
we
we can
should
get
start
another one
wearing
sent out.
matching outfits.
Stop. I'm in.
I know you are.
I'm in.
Maybe just on special holidays.
Yeah. Like Friday, and you showed up today ready to go. You dropped me a note. I didn't even know you could share notes.
Well, if you
And,
have an iPhone, since we both have iPhones, we could start communicating,
Docs.
like true Apple users.
You doxed me about having an iPhone. Also, we don't have to say your last name, and we won't. But your
Yeah,
last
let's
name
definitely
is,
not.
We won't. But
God, please
I'm not
stop.
going to say. I don't even know what it is. I can't
Yeah.
see it anywhere. I just saw it, and I was like, "That's fucking chaos." I'm not going to learn that name.
And
I've
nobody does.
decided not
Everybody
to
since
learn
I
your
was a
last name.
child, because nobody has the first name Felice. Like, if anybody thinks I have a last name from my whole life, they think it's Navidad. Like, that's what everyone calls me. Like, nobody knows my last name. Because,
I love that. I know that everybody said it, but I love that. Anyways, let's get to your notes. I was working on editing that video and just unloading everything that I put into my. Let me tell you what I did last night. So I ate. I like to cook over a fire. I have a fire pit, so I cooked a steak last night. But I don't know. I've never seen this happen with a steak. I cut it open, and the steak had it was like hollow inside. Like the steak had separated. So there was like a top steak and a middle steak, and then just like it looked like somebody would have put filling in there, but they didn't. So I didn't eat that. So I ate a potato pancake. Shout out Trader Joe's for potato pancakes if you guys haven't done those. And then I was just like, shit, I'll go get some food. And I started. Yeah, I can say this. I got in my car. I started driving, and just right outside of my community, there's a gas station. Then down the road a little bit, there's a few restaurants. I'm like, I'm going to go get some restaurants. I get to the gate. I'm about to turn, and I'm like, oh, no. I'm way too high to be driving. So I parked my car, and I walked, and I went to the gas station. And listen, if you decide to get your dinner from a gas station, you are not going to feel well the next morning. And I did not feel
did
well
you eat a
this
quick
morning.
station hot dog? Is
No,
that
I don't.
where this story is going? Is this about a
In honor
gas
of
station hot
HVAC.
dog?
No, worse. This is Quick Trip is one of the nicer. Do you have Quick? Oh, you live in the same state as me.
I
What the
have
shit?
cute. What?
Okay, so yeah, I know. I forgot. So I had a Quick Trip slice of pizza. Awful.
I'm not
I didn't even understand the crust. There were. It was kind of the same. There were like canyons cut out of the
So gas
crust.
station pizza.
Gas station pizza, Cheez-Its.
Oh,
And,
Cheez-Its are a staple. You gotta eat Cheez-Its.
Yeah,
or something
and they have
wrong with you.
they have those Cheez-Its now that are like extra toasted, so they're really crispy, delightful. By the way, if you guys are here, if you're just listening to this, can you bump those likes and the shares? a
Yeah,
little bit
tap the
today?
screen so we can
We'll
get to the
see.
For You page.
Yeah, and then a new thing. It was pretzels. It was like cookies and cream pretzels. Delightful. I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning and just in pain. My stomach was like, "Fuck you, dude." And then I went for a long walk. I've been drinking water. I took some ADHD medication, which I've been trying not to take as much, and now I feel
Is there
a little
anything
bit
else you
alive.
would like to confess to the people before?
Probably. Do you want me to
have
look
you-
through? I can look through my text messages. I'll see how bad it got. I didn't get catfished last night. That was good.
God in heaven.
Although we did
we had
learn
a
that
therapy session.
Yeah, although we did learn that Athena catfished 2 people when she was 13. Athena told a story yesterday, and I'm going to tell it because it was on a live.
He's about to dox someone else. Here we go.
Athena had a crush on this kid at school, right? And she's like, I like this guy. So she made a fake Facebook account with her, what's her name? Emma Watson as the profile picture. And then she just, like, the guy asked her out, they go to meet up, and Athena just showed up. Obviously not Emma Watson, and the guy didn't say shit. They just, like, went on a date. He didn't say anything about the fact that she was not Emma
Because that's
Watson.
how men truly are.
That's true.
If an attractive woman shows up, they don't care who it is, and that's the truth. That like
That's
the
true.
deception is immediately forgiven. Whereas like with women, it's less about what you look like and more about, hey, you weren't honest with me, and that's concerning. But men are just like, oh, it's a good-looking person. It's not the same person, but this is fine.
Yeah, that's fair. As long as you're attracted to somebody, it's okay if they're crazy. I think that's basically how men operate. I know historically,
Yeah,
it's how I've operated from time to time. So, anyways, my handler was there. Trash Boy, all this stuff, by the way, all this stuff that you're criticizing me for sharing all this information, and you're like, you need a handler. My handler was there,
I hired
wearing
him.
some sort of dead animal on his head, and just like told me to fuck off like 3 times. Was not a good
Perfect
handler.
for the job. That's what
Not
you
a
need
good
to do.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't in that way. It was like because I dared to speak to him. He's like, fuck off. He didn't stop anything. He didn't. In fact, laughed at some of it. Googled some of it. Not a good handler.
I think it's going to work out. All right, let's move on to George Santos. George Santos
Thank God.
is a freaking mess. Okay,
I
so
love him.
I can't even.
I respect. I'm gaining more and more respect for George Santos as time goes on.
Yeah, exactly. It's just building. Like, here's some. I just want to read off. Like, so the ethics report came out yesterday. It's 55 pages. I have not read the whole thing, but there are so many articles I was going through of like things that he did. So like Santos, he turned his campaign into an organized fraud operation to enrich himself. Santos stole money from his campaign and pocketed the donor money, reported fictitious loans to his campaign account to make it appear to prospective donors that he was a more viable candidate. Then he used his influential donors to create new fraudulent business opportunities for himself, continued the facade of a serious candidate to deceive donors by creating a fictitious background. So they talked to dozens of witnesses and they reviewed over 170,000 pages of documents. And this report is one of the most damning ethics reports I've ever read through. And it's done by Republicans. I mean, the ethics committee is essentially run by Republicans. And they're again...
Which, that in and of itself is a problem. But well done.
Yeah, I mean, the the irony there. But yeah, they again, are bringing a resolution to again expel him. And
The crazy thing is that he probably won't get expelled because they need his vote. And they've even said that. There's like, hey, well... we need his vote. Sorry.
They desperately need his vote. I agree with that. But the problem, like what the real issue is about what's happening and why George Santos is on Twitter losing his absolute mind, or excreting this morning, whatever you call it, is because in the ethics report, it's more thorough. Like he's charged with 21 felonies at this point, but
Yeah.
the ethics report
23.
essentially calls out like 11 more. Like they did and referred it. The ethics report has been referred to the DOJ. Like he's going to have a superseding indictment. He's going to now be charged with more felonies. And so listen to this post he made. I just want to read it. Because again, of course, George Santos, in true malignant narcissist form, is still a victim in all this. George Santos types, "My year from hell. Running for office was never a dream or goal, but when the opportunity to do so came, I felt the time to serve my country was now. Looking back today, I know one thing. Politics is indeed dirty. Dirty from the very bottom up. Consultants, operatives, the opposition, the party, and more. The one thing I never knew was that the process in Congress was dirty. I will continue to fight for what I believe in, and I will never back down. What the ethics committee did today was not part of due process. What they did was poison a jury pool on my ongoing investigation with the DOJ. This was a dirty, biased act and one that tramples all over my rights." And then he, at the bottom, which I cannot wait for this, mark your calendars, people. Press conference November 30th at 8 a.m.
Yes.
on the Capitol
Yes.
steps. I
Yes.
encourage all members of the press to attend. Can you imagine?
I can't wait for the Santos insurrection. It's just George Santos storming the building. Among the bills footed by campaign donors, did you read this? Trips to the casinos in Atlantic City and the Hamptons, purchases at the French fashion house Hermes. Hermes. What is that?
Not the H, Hermes.
Just clothes?
It's. I mean, they make purses that are like $45,000, like fine leather goods, like some
Okay,
of the
fine.
most expensive purses on earth.
Okay, what
They scarves.
does he
fine
does he use purses?
Well, blankets, like all sorts of things.
Just
It's
anything.
a French company that, I mean, it's
like the
unbelievably
French.
expensive, but their staple are purses.
I don't like the French. Regular cosmetic treatments labeled Botox on internal campaign records.
Yeah, he
and,
went to spas all over the country.
and even small purchases on.
OnlyFans. Yeah, he's been using his donors' campaign money to
Do we,
self-pleasure.
do we need to check Whisper's account to see if he has any George Santos money? Do we need to check that? We may need to check with.
Dear God, with the doxing. Okay.
That's not doxing. That one doesn't count as doxing.
Thank you for the hat.
Thank you. Anyways, the French do suck. Keep going.
Oh, so I just wanted to also read. So this is the guy in charge of the ethics committee, and when he filed the expulsion resolution against Santos. So it's. I just want to read this quote from it. Given the intense public scrutiny surrounding Representative Santos and the ongoing activity at the DOJ, including indictments, the Ethics Committee decided to finish its work without going through a lengthier process that provides for the committee to make a recommendation of punishment to the House. The evidence uncovered in the Ethics Committee investigative subcommittee investigation is more than sufficient to warrant punishment, and the most appropriate punishment is expulsion. So, separate from the committee process and my role as chairman, I have filed an expulsion resolution. Meaning, normally there would be a trial in the Ethics Committee, and they're just apparently he's refused to like appear before the Ethics Committee. They've asked him about certain things. They asked him to like make adjustments to how he was doing campaign finance stuff. He refused. So just based on his insubordination, they're just like, there's no point. We're going to file for his expulsion and refer this to the DOJ.
He's like if Michael Scott ran for Congress. They said, I was reading, where was that part? Mr. Santos, no, that's not it. He was frequently in debt, had an abysmal credit score, and relied on an ever-growing wallet of high-interest credit cards to fund his luxury spending habits. He personally loaned his campaign $81,000. Most of that money was never real, but then so this is, by the way, this is what when somebody says they lent their campaign money, and you're like, wait, where did they get that money? It's a fake loan so that they can pay themselves back. It's the way that people enrich themselves. So they claim they loan the campaign money, and then the campaign pays them back, but none of that money ever existed. So then it really is just like a Ponzi scheme. They claim they loaned it, more money comes in, and then they pay themselves out of that money. It probably happens a lot more than we think. Probably happens all the time. Santos did say, "I will not stand by as I'm stoned by those who have flaws themselves." Fair enough. He's probably right about that. Somebody probably taught him to do this, but the problem is that like he didn't stop there like everybody else. He's like, "Fuck it, we're gonna use it for everything. We're going shopping. We're gonna spend money online for online content
Casinos,
creators.
cash withdrawals from ATMs, like just hitting up the ATM at this point.
We gotta go
Rents
gamble.
for his apartment.
Give him a little credit. His time in Congress is short, but he had a hell of a time. He really made the most out of his short time in Congress.
And he created 2 consulting companies, like one called Red Strategies, and then said that, like that he had like used their services, and he was confronted apparently by a campaign staffer who was like, "Do you have anything to do with this company? Like, why are we paying them $100,000?" And he just denied it. And he's the owner of the company.
Because Daddy needs some more luxury goods. That's why. It's fine. It's fine. I don't know.
Yeah, OnlyFans, Sephora, Hermes. That's insane.
At the end of the day, we're literally talking, though. This is what sucks. We're talking about George Santos, who clearly is like just taking advantage of all of this, of being a member of Congress. But the real problem is that he can get that money. That he actually is able to obtain that money. That's the real problem that nobody's going to do here.
they're gonna get rid of Santos. He's gonna be out, and they're just not gonna talk about the fact that he was able to do this through dark money. That's why they can do this. So I don't know. Like, I honestly don't hate George Santos that much. I think this is kind of funny. I hope that it exposes the system, but it won't. I would hope that some people in Congress... this is an opportunity for Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, if you're listening, this is you, dude. You and AOC right now come together and blow this shit up. Just be like, hey, look at all this dark money. Forget smearing George Santos. Let's talk about how he was able to get that money, how he was able to pay himself back. Let's talk about let's jump into Marjorie Trailer Green and Lauren Boebert, and let's figure out how they all of a sudden had all this money.
I totally agree.
How are they dressed so nicely?
Well, this is my thing I used to say when this whole, when we first, after the midterms and it came out that George Santos was, not who he said he was. I was just like, it's second, third generation. Yeah,
he's
who
not
played on
Jewish,
the volleyball
he's
team.
Jewish.
He played volleyball. Yeah.
Did you hear him double down on that again?
Yeah,
by the way,
he's still claiming. I don't know why.
He keeps thinking that's a good answer.
He's gonna die. He's dying on that hill. It's ridiculous. But I just remember saying, like, this is second generation Trump rot. Like, we should not be mad when we let a guy, the ultimate grifter, into the White House, and now we're mad that other grifters saw what he was doing and said, "Oh, you can lie about everything. You can defraud. You can lie your way into Congress. You could lie on business documents. You can do all these things." And that now we're going to be mad at George Santos? Like, that was George Santos's first defense. Like, why is Trump allowed to do it? And how can we even argue with that point?
Is there any part of you that has, during this all, have contemplated, because I have, and I'll be transparent about it, I've thought, if things get really bad for me, I'm just going to become a Republican.
And I'm going to run for Congress.
Yeah, no, exactly. You don't think I can beat Andy Biggs as a Republican? Of course I can. I can out Biggs. I could win my congressional seat tomorrow. And if things go bad for me, I just want you all to know that if you see me switch sides to the Republican Party, it's 100% about
No,
money.
you should run as a Republican, get the seat, and be like, "Oh, I forgot I'm a Democrat," like they all do.
That's a good point. No, because I would want the money. And I would need to keep that grift up. Because if 10 years in Congress, or I guess 12 years,
you only need like 4
10.
years to get the pension, right? Or 3 years?
I think it's 3 terms, isn't it?
Yeah, or something, to get the forever pension.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm looking for, though. We know that. We know I'm looking for the dark money. All right, next is, do you want me to play this video? The Trump, how long is that one?
It's not long. There's just Jonathan Karl, is writing a book about Trump and did many taped interviews with Trump. This is, in my opinion, Trump's biggest problem. Why does he won't send emails, he doesn't text messages because he doesn't want to be caught up, with paper trails. But then he does recorded interviews and says wild stuff. So yeah, just play. It's just the latest that came out on CNN yesterday of Trump discussing January 6th.
Okay, let's see.
By the people rioting at the Capitol.
But if you look at the real size of that crowd, it was never reported correctly. It's the biggest crowd I've ever spoken in front of by far.
Really?
By far. That went back to the Washington Monument.
You told them you were going to go up to the Capitol. Were you just...
I was going to, and the Secret Service said, you can't. And then by the time I would have, and then when I got back, I wanted to go back. I was thinking about going back during the problem to stop the problem, doing it myself. Secret Service didn't like that idea too much. I could have done that, and you know what? I would have been very well received. Don't forget, the people that went to Washington that day, in my opinion, they went because they thought the election was rigged. That's why they went.
All right, that audio comes from
He's a little sniffy.
Always,
In that one.
Always.
A little sniffy.
Sinuses are always...
He must have allergies. That's the rumor. Little sniffy there. The thing that he does really, really well, and I'll give him credit for this, is he tells on himself in a way that, like, isn't perfect. Like there's a little bit of wiggle room, right? He always leaves a little bit of wiggle room, and he did it there too. I thought the part of that where he might catch himself is when he was explaining that he told the Secret Service. Remember that story of how from whatever what was her name? Do you remember her name? That was shit. What's God damn it? What's his chief? Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows, chief of staff. She testified that Trump
Cassidy Hutchinson.
Cassidy Hutchinson tried to strong arm Secret Service. He's basically saying here, like, yeah, I did try and go, and Secret Service told me no. Can you imagine if he would have shown up? Just comes walking in to the riots. What do you think happens? I don't think they stop. I think he marches right into that building with that group of people behind him, and I think that like the Capitol Police would have been very confused. I think it could have potentially been Donald Trump leading a group of people actually into Congress. I think that actually could have happened. I'm wondering
I think
if
that was the vision he had.
That's what I think too. That he was going to walk in there with a crowd of people behind him, and he was going to be the hero, and he was going to stop the count. I do think that's what the plan was, and I think the backup plan was what happened. That's why all those other people were. That's why you had all the Proud Boys standing by and standing back. That's why you had the cache of weapons just in case.
I think that it got out of control. You know what I mean? I think the plan was, he saw himself as some sort of conquering hero or like leading a crowd, and then his Secret Service was like, "This is not what you think. This is turning bad." You know what I mean? Like that's what I think really happened. In my opinion.
Yeah. To answer, sorry, there's people that were in the box that are not coming up. Look, I'm looking for. I see a straight facts. We're looking for opposition. It's nothing personal. The reason we're not bringing you up is just because we're looking for opposition today.
Yeah, we would love to talk to a Republican.
Have you heard from Gorilla?
Let me check.
Where's Gorilla? I'm going to check my tags too. I don't think I've heard from Gorilla. I noticed that there's other people doing a similar background that I am today. The Right is Afraid to Debate. I do think that that's happened. I don't know outside of Jeff. Like Jeff is like the one soldier that's left. That's willing. By the way, Did you try and watch any of that debate?
Was it streamed live?
No, I saw. I went to the YouTube channel today.
It's posted.
I had to turn it off. I'm going to be honest.
God, I haven't, but I'm going to.
Maybe it got better, but it started off exactly like you would expect. Jeff just dodging and dodging and dodging, and the other guy not really understanding yet what Jeff was doing. I don't know how long it lasted. I think the video was like an hour long, but I don't know if Jeff stayed for that whole thing. I'd imagine it's chaos. So, and then he was on Good Trouble doing the same shit, tone policing and logical
fallacy. So was it just
fallacying.
the usual? Is that what you're saying? Is it just like what was the subject they were debating?
There was no subject, so they started off. I watched maybe the first 15 minutes. It just started off with Jeff saying he was going to get the first question. He said, "Why would you vote for Biden?" And then, "Why would you vote for Trump?" was the retort. And then it was the same. So the host, I forget something. Rational Boomer, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Rational Boomer. He was when Jeff asked him why he wouldn't vote for Trump, he was just like, "Yeah, I don't want like an insurrectionist. I don't want a criminal." And Jeff did exactly what you think. Now, when you say he's an insurrectionist, how do you prove that? What's the proof? Has he been convicted? It's like, okay, now we already know. Like, you've already drawn the line. It was like, we're not going to accept any facts until he's convicted. And I lasted like a few more minutes, and then I gave up. So I don't know. It sounds like Facts Matter. Facts Still Matter watched it. He said it was not good. All right. Well,
I want to hear about it. Let him.
Well, I need you to talk to my handler.
Hello.
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 What's going on? Anything to report?
This feels like MAGA.
I
Look like it.
Your internet is dude, your internet, we can't hear a word you're saying. There's the hat though. We gotta do something about that internet. Sorry, Driveway. Sorry, we can't hear a word you're saying. Canadian. Trash Boy lives in Canada. You gave me a Canadian handler. Did you know that?
I did not, but I feel like he's up to the task.
Okay, well, he's not. All right. What was the next story? Let me go back to that.
Well, I wanted to just talk about, like, there's a really interesting article that I just suggest everyone read. It's kind of in depth in the Washington Post today, and it's called The Hidden Biases at Play in the U.S. Senate. And it's talking about as population increases in states with high populations, diversity is increasing, but in the Senate, right, that's how the white majority in America, one of the ways they maintain so much power is by every state, regardless of population, being allocated 2 senators.
Did you freeze on that?
No, I'm
Okay.
not. I'm asking for your opinion. I was just waiting for you to like throw out so
I was thinking about that yesterday. The amount of power that a senator from Wyoming or a senator from South Dakota or a senator from Maine, Susan Collins, has had. It's crazy when you think about it. Like at the time, it made sense that each state was going to have 2 senators, that you're going to have representation that way. But the Senate is extremely powerful. That's one reason I kind of like the filibuster. I don't like the idea that or eliminating the filibuster. Excuse
oh
me.
yeah, I was like, what?
Sorry, yeah, eliminating the filibuster is because there's just all these people. Like, I mean, you see what's happened with old Tommy Tupperwareville down there in where's he at? Alabama, Mississippi. Where's he at?
He's out
Alabama?
of control. Alabama.
Yeah. He has all this power to make it so that our military can't operate. We have to get rid of the filibuster. But I didn't read this article. So
Well, that has to do with the committee. He's on the committee, the Armed Services Committee or something, and he's blocking people. But they're drawing up I think they passed a resolution, so they're going to be able to vote on the things like one by one and go around him. Like they're actually passing a resolution to be able to go around him at this point. And he's angry because Republicans are going to vote to do it as well because he's out of his mind. But let me just read so the disparities in power among voters in different states have widened as states have grown unevenly. Second, because of demographic distribution, white voters now have substantially greater influence than voters of color. And finally, in recent decades, Republican senators have maintained majority control even when they represent a minority of Americans. That's because more Republicans than Democrats are elected in the least populous states.
Yeah, and we've talked about that with 2024. It's likely that Republicans are going to win the Senate, which is crazy. They're remarkably unpopular. Their ideas are liked by 25 to 30% of the country, and just by nature of who's up for re-election this next election cycle, Republicans likely are going to win the Senate. They've never been more unpopular in America. Their ideas have never been more unpopular, and they're going to be able to block progressive policies for at least 2 years. I don't know. I haven't looked at the 2026. I'll pull that up. Who's up for re-election in 2026?
If you scroll down in this article, there's some really interesting graphs I think you would like, but I'm going to just highlight a couple of things. So the first factor to consider in understanding the Senate imbalance of power is the sheer growth of the country and particularly where it's been concentrated. So in 1790, Virginia, the most populous state, had roughly 13 times the population of Delaware, which was the least populous state, with a difference of about 700,000 people. But since 1960, the populations of America's 3 most populous states, which are California, Texas, and Florida, have all skyrocketed. So as a result, there is now a staggering difference in size between America's most and least populous states. In 1960, the difference was just 17 million, but today it's 39 million. By 2040, that gap is expected to be 46 million. This has created a representation problem in the Senate. If you are a resident of California with 68 times the population of Wyoming, your influence in the Senate is nothing. It's paltry.
Yeah. It's 2 out of 50, just like Wyoming, which is wild considering how much of our country is funded by California.
Exactly. And it's not only the mega states. So citizens in states like Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia have all seen their relative influence diminished as their populations have grown. You're almost punished for your state growing.
So are they offering any sort of solution to this?
Well, I mean, this is a huge problem. This is one of the huge problems about, what is, I mean, you would have to fundamentally change how the Senate is seated, like is it by population like the House? Listen to this though. So underrepresented people of color, I thought this was tragic. This imbalance of power is due to overall population is complicated by a second factor, the changing makeup of the country. America was hardly a diverse nation when it was founded in the 18th century. According to the 1790 census, the population numbered 3.9 million, 81% of them white. Enslaved blacks only accounted as 3/5 of a citizen and had no right to vote. Women could not vote. Indigenous people at the time lived as semi-independent nations. Today, in a country of more than 330 million, whites at 59% remain in the majority, but the demographic composition of the country is changing, with non-white groups growing faster than the white population. By 2044, according to estimates, America will be a majority-minority nation. And the most populous states, with few exceptions, also happen to be the most diverse. So where you have no power, the most populous places in the Senate. California is 40% Hispanic, 34% white, 16% Asian, and 6.5% black.
Wait, California's majority Hispanic?
40% Hispanic.
I didn't know that. Wow.
You learn something new every
Yeah,
day.
look, we all learned today. I didn't know that.
So think about that. 40% Hispanic, 34% white, 16% Asian, and 6.5% black. So according to the 2020 census, Wyoming is 83% white. They have the same
Number
Senate.
seems low. I've been to Wyoming. I think that number's low.
As have I. They
Yeah.
have the same representation as California.
Oh,
in the
that's a
Senate.
devastating one. There's no way you get a bill passed. I mean, that's literally how our Constitution was set up. There's no way you're going to get.
This is why
I don't know how you
everything
fix
dies
that.
in the Senate. I really recommend everyone reads this article. I mean, it is unreal.
I don't know how you fix that. I don't know what you would even do other than just elect progressive senators. I'm looking in 2026 and trying to figure out who may be ripe for being picked off. You have Tom Tillis. He's probably there's a good chance Tom Tillis gets knocked out in North Carolina. I'm going down the list here.
Listen to this. White Americans are significantly overrepresented in the Senate today by 14%. An examination of the nation's most and least populous states helps explain why. Whites make up 46% of the population of the most 5 populous states, but they account for 78% of the population of the 5 least populous states. Similarly, Hispanics make up 31% of the population in the 5 most populous states, but only 5% of the population in least populous states.
Whoa.
It's crazy.
So we've got Joni Ernst is possible, Steve Daines in Montana possible, John Cornyn in Texas possible. I think Texas is going to be blue within a decade. I really do think that, and I think Texas could turn blue before that. I think Cornyn is fucked. I think Susan Collins is toast in Maine. I don't know that Susan Collins is running again. I haven't heard, but I would doubt.
Why Cornyn? Out of curiosity.
Texas.
Yeah, just because
Because
of
Texas.
changing
He's not-
demographics.
Yeah, he's not very popular. Now, he's lucky that he is the palatable senator in Texas. He's fortunate that he's there with Ted Cruz. Somehow John Cornyn is the likable one. Joni Ernst, obviously in Iowa, I think that's a problem. Lindsey Graham could be gone. Lindsey Graham had a close run-in. Who did he run against in South Carolina? It was relatively close. Lindsey Graham could be in trouble. You could even look at Bill Hagerty in Tennessee. I looked at 2026 for the Democrats to take back the Senate, but I still don't think you get to 60. So I don't know how you get rid of the filibuster. I don't know.
Exactly. The elusive 60 votes. I mean,
I'm seeing the places that are up. So Tuberville in Alabama. No, he's good. Tom Tillis. Where did we go? Hagerty, Graham, Ernst, Cornyn, Collins. 6 at best. At best, you're getting 6. Yeah, still don't have it. Cruz is up in 24. That's true. Cruz could lose. Cruz could lose this time.
Guys, tap the screen. Let's get to the For You page. Like, definitely, I would love to talk to a Republican before this live is over.
That'd be terrific. That'd be,
Wouldn't it?
yeah, that'd be wonderful. This is from Tristan Snell. Tristan Snell works. I'm trying to remember. He works for.
Yeah, I
he's
love
an
him.
M-
I follow him on Twitter.
Okay, so this was earlier. You probably saw it, is that the word coming out of Washington is that after expelling George Santos, that Matt Gaetz is likely the next target. That Matt Gaetz will be going in for questioning for ethics, as well as Perry and Stirrup. Jeff Clark has revealed his prospective witness list for his upcoming bar discipline trial. It includes Scott Perry, Mark Meadows, Matt Gaetz, Doug Mastriano, and many ex-DOJ officials. And this could lead to Matt Gaetz, like adding more to Matt Gaetz because he's under oath of being expelled. That would be terrific.
That's why, I mean, they say, like in the Capitol Hill blogs, you know, they say that is why Matt Gaetz did that to McCarthy, because of the ethics investigation.
Because they're allowing it to proceed.
Yeah, he wanted McCarthy to kill it, and he wouldn't. And so that's why that's part of the reason that Gaetz is so angry at McCarthy.
He's been weird. Like Gaetz has been remarkably honest on some things, and I think if Gaetz goes down, Gaetz will blow the whole thing up. I don't actually think Gaetz is like a conservative. I think he's an opportunist, and he doesn't care. I think Gaetz, if he's going to go down on ethics violation, he's going to rat out everybody, and he's going to use this as a platform to like go into some sort of media, right? And he will
sure. He's already working at Newsmax.
Yeah, he will throw everybody on the bus. He said earlier this week that earlier this month, if Democrats ever pass the voting rights bill, Republicans will never win another election ever again. That's wild. That's so honest from Matt Gaetz. It's weird that like his back is so far up against the wall that he's one of the few people in Washington right now that I kind of trust.
Oh, I mean, like if you trust Steve Bannon, trust Matt Gaetz. Like that's the same level of intelligence.
You're always
They're
simping
geniuses.
for Steve Bannon.
Well, no, I'm just saying they're highly, highly intelligent. So don't turn your back on them. I don't know if you
Yeah, no, he'll
trust them.
if he has an opportunity to lie to get ahead, he will. But right now, his best option is actually to tell the truth. That's his best option, and he can go down as long as he doesn't turn on Trump and Steve Bannon. He's probably going to be okay. But he can throw literally everybody else under the bus on his way out, which is terrific. Because if they run out moderate Republicans, they're going to replace them with crazy people, and those crazy people are going to lose elections, which would be great. Like these Republicans that think that they're safe in red states, we're starting to see that they may not be safe in red states. We're starting to see that the voters are willing to vote against stuff historically they've been against, and they're willing to vote against crazy. I think Republicans are completely miscalculating this entire thing. I think the fact that they have backed awful people, backed criminals, brought Marjorie Taylor Greene up there, brought up Lauren Boebert, put Jim Jordan in charge of all these things.
in gerrymandered seats, they can never get these people out of either.
Exactly. But now the courts were seeing a precedent. The courts are like, all right, we got to do something about gerrymandering. And they're doing it. It's Republican judges that are striking these drawn
It's the
districts
Federalist
down.
Society. I say this over and over. I'm going to do an expose on Leonard Leo because people need to know who controls the money in politics and who is really running this country. His name's Leonard Leo, and he is the creator of the Federalist Society, which he calls a far-right conservative pipeline of judges that he's funneling into federal courts. He's single-handedly responsible for the conservative majority on the Supreme Court. ProPublica has done some like Pulitzer Prize winning work, and specifically an expose about him after he's best friends with Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea of who this man is. And he controls everything. And I always say to Republicans when they're screaming at me in lives is just like, you don't worry about Democrats. Like, worry about Leonard Leo. He's the one that allowed his Federalist Society lawyers to come for Trump, that wrote that legal precedent that said that Trump can't be on ballots in states. That was the Republican, the king of dark money, Leonard Leo, that is turning his pipeline of conservative judges and lawyers against Donald Trump.
Why do
And
why do you think he's doing that?
because they don't want him. They are. I mean, they're trying to push him out without pushing him out. But the most important thing is that Republicans hang on to power. So they tread lightly because Republicans. It's not about right and wrong. It's ultimately about the consolidation of power. But
So do you
they
think-
don't want Trump? He's a huge problem in every way.
So do you think Leonard Leo is going to put some pressure on what's her name, Eileen Cannon, Judge Cannon?
If anyone could,
Because she was on that list. She's got her judgeship because she was on the Leonard Leo list.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's like, Trump appointed all these federal judges. No, Leonard Leo appointed them, and Mitch McConnell appointed them. Like, that's
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell and Leonard Leo, or you could thank for all the conservative judges.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, they do think Trump has too much power, but also he's becoming very vindictive, right? He's going to fire the deep state. He's after the establishment. Like, Leonard Leo is the dark money establishment. That's who these people are. The people with real money that represent the donor class, and they're very uneasy about unhinged Trump coming for revenge.
I'm trying.
Oh, I have
who
some
win-
I wanna go
in my
through some
head,
other
I'm just
stuff.
thinking like, who wins that battle? I think it's Leonard Leo.
I think so.
Leonard
I don't
Leo-
think people have any idea who this man is. Like,
Yeah.
he only recently, ProPublica is one of the first people to ever really expose him. Like, they call him the least known and most powerful man in Washington. He, for a long time, wouldn't even show his face.
Do you remember what Lindsey Graham said when they were talking about subpoenaing Harlan Crow and Leonard Leo? Do you remember what he said?
He's like, you have no idea probably what
Yeah,
you're doing.
he's like, this will be a shit show. Those were his words. He's like, it will be a shit show. Lindsey Graham, no,
He's
like,
scared. They all
Yeah.
know. You don't come for Leonard Leo, or you better come correct once and hit the target. Like, it's crazy. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Well, so I wanted to read a tweet also from Jenna Ellis. You know, because when that proffer video leaked, obviously Jenna's been taking some heat from the right for, flipping on Trump. And this morning she tweeted, MAGA doesn't care about the truth. They just want everyone to say what they want to hear. If you don't, they'll try to bully and intimidate you. They're leftists. But
Wait.
she's shaping up to be a good witness for the prosecution, right?
that is crazy.
Yeah.
What is this one? This was Don. Did you read Don Jr.'s pick for press secretaries claiming I'm a disloyal harlot and going to hell? No mention though of Jr.'s divorce, his girlfriend's divorce from Gavin Newsom, or the best Christian ever screwing a porn star while his third wife was pregnant. Apparently, true Christianity is not based on a belief in Christ as Lord, but rather belief in Donald Trump as Savior, King, and next president. Repent and trust the 27D chess guys. Personnel picks will be better this time. She is going scorched earth.
Yeah, she doesn't care anymore. Jenna Ellis is just on Twitter airing everyone's dirty laundry. She's had it.
I'm following her now. I'm going to start listening to her radio show. Let's see if we can get Jenna Ellis. We're big enough, right? We got almost 700 people here and no goddamn Republicans. This has got to be why. Republicans aren't showing up anymore, right? Do you think they know? In their heart of hearts, do you think they know?
No.
You don't. What
Which
about
thing? Which thing are we talking about?
they know this was all fake, like that Donald Trump is a fraud, that he's a criminal. Do you think that's starting to set in? I've seen it with David. I think David is very subdued compared to the old David. Obviously, bad views. He's moved over to this side, but that could be because of love. That could just be totally because of your guys' beautiful
Young love.
budding relationship that's moving quickly. Far
You
far
can
more
just say you're
quickly.
jealous. Just say
Far-
it. Because
far
if we're,
more.
you talk about this.
I am a little jealous. I do feel like
thank you
I
for
had.
admitting that. Thank you. Now I'm more okay with this. Just
Yeah, I
admit that
feel like
it's
I had
bothering
bad
you.
views first, and I do feel like you swooped a little bit. I do feel that way. But I was even on we were watching Moderate Democrat, which by the way he's a weird one, but even to hear the Republicans there, like the Republicans there talking about Israel, like they won't push back against Trump stuff anymore. And it's kind of sad. It kind of feels like the end of an era is coming. I've been wanting this to happen, and now I'm a little bit sad because the crazies have kind of just went back to hiding under a rock, and we're back to talking about politics.
No, I know. I agree. It is kind of strange. I feel the same way. I think it's like you get beat down with facts enough. Like there's just not enough facts to argue. So you have to be, I mean, that's what I think Jeff is really good at, HVAC, is like he is doing an impression of Donald Trump, which is at the end of that bit, it's just like, I'm not wrong, I'm right, I won. It doesn't matter what has happened in the debate. And so like I think that his lives get good numbers and Republicans watch him now because it's like he's kind of their like champion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's just, and at the end of every debate, whether right or wrong,
Yeah.
he's just like, I won. He just
Yeah.
declares himself the winner and they're like, we won. So, I mean, that's what the kind of level of cognitive dissonance you have to be on now because the facts are the facts.
Listen, look, we don't love HVAC necessarily. Look, I don't hate HVAC for sure. I think it's silly what he does, but you have to understand that this is like in the world that we live in the TikTok world that we live in, all Republican debaters have gone away. They're all gone. They won't show up. The only time you'll ever see them is in lives, like on panels, and those lives are dying. Like if you go on at night outside of HVAC, like what Republican is polling numbers?
Yeah,
nobody's there. There's nowhere to go anymore, and I don't know. I don't know if they're like, maybe they're all planning a coup. Maybe they're all over on Truth Social. I don't know where they are. It's literally our options to debate somebody are like, and this is why we're making some changes to our format. This is why Felice is here, because it started getting to the point where it was 3.5 hours of just me talking, and that sucked. By the way, we are working. Hopefully, Whisper's doing it right now, but we look. Where are you, PAB? Who are you? All right. Can I invite you? Are you blocked or something? I can't invite you, but you can jump up there. PAB 11491. You've got enough followers. I don't know if you're currently in trouble or something. But this is why we're making this change. This is why we're going to have a show with media. By the way, just so you guys are aware, we'll be broadcasting still on TikTok, but we'll have clips, we'll have videos, we'll do analysis, we'll cover more political stuff because the debate stuff is over. There is no more debate stuff. PAB, welcome.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Yeah, you're the one. You're the one that remaining Republican.
Yeah,
we found you.
Yeah,
I'm a conservative. I'm not a Republican.
I know. That's what they all say.
How you doing, right?
Good. How are you?
Good. What do you want to debate?
Well, what did I say that made you feel like you wanted to come up? We can maybe start with that.
Oh, I don't know. I it's a case on both sides. Everybody feels like they're never wrong.
Well, how do you feel about conservatives right now? Like, what conservatives do you feel represent you?
I feel like I'm more the Ted Cruz faction of the party. Further right faction of the party. I feel like the Republican Party is no longer a conservative party, and it's really no longer an opposition party to the Democrat Party. It's the government establishment of both parties that are kind of dictating circumstances.
Okay. What would you like to see the Republicans do more of then? I don't know if you saw Chip Roy yesterday. I don't know if you were here yesterday. Chip Roy basically stood and looked at his Republican counterparts and just said, hey guys, like, what am I supposed to campaign on? What can I go back and tell my constituents that we've done? We haven't done anything. Can you guys name one thing we've done? Do you share that opinion that it feels like Republicans aren't really doing anything but just complaining? That was what he said. He's like, basically, all we do is complain about Democrats. Can we talk about one thing? Do you feel the same way that that's what congressional leaders are doing?
In a sense, I mean, I think they could, propose some more legislation than they do. I mean, as far as like, I don't know what issue you'd like to debate as far as like we'll take the border, for example. Okay. Everything that can be done on the border has already been legislated, and it's the responsibility of the executive to execute the law. And, to an extent, that's not being done. You know what I mean? So there's no legislation that a Republican could introduce that would affect that.
So if you had, let's say Republicans won the control of the House, and they had the tiebreaker in the Senate because, let's say Trump wins and his VP is the tiebreaker, what would you like to see done to fix the border?
Well, I'd like to see certainly, the borders
Oh, you muted. He might have got phone. There you
go. Physically secured.
You muted. He might have got phone.
Oh,
there you go. Hey, yeah, just open up.
Physically secured.
Hey, you've got a bit of an echo. Let me mute you for a second so we get that. Just mute and unmute, or you can go out of the app and then back in. Just don't close the app, and it'll fix it. And then just unmute when you're ready. Oh, lost him. Might be coming back up. Well, give him a sec. I know there's another opposition in the box, but give me a second, see if he comes back. All right, hit the request. Come back up. For some reason, I can't invite you. I don't know what's up with that. Maybe I just don't know how to do it. Maybe Jen can do it. For some reason, I can't. You should.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the Republican Party continues to bring legislation that won't pass the Senate, and refuses to come up with bipartisan, reasonable legislation, nothing will happen. Hi.
You have me back?
Yes.
Yep.
I don't know. Somebody called me and I declined it, kicked me out. Anyway, so you were saying if
what would you like?
Were to get a majority in the House and in the Senate, what legislation would you like to see?
Yeah, the last thing I heard you say is like make a physical barrier, right? You want to establish
a physical barrier. Well, I mean, it's
a wall.
And again,
you mean a wall?
Stuff yes, a wall.
Okay.
What do you think that solves?
What do you think that solves? Like, why do you want that wall? What solution is that, or what problem is that a solution for?
I would like a wall, number one, and number two, I would like the people to know that when you come here, you're going to be sent back immediately, deported into Mexico. Like, the second, you come onto United States soil, I'd like to see you sent back to Mexico immediately. And if you're, if you're human trafficking, or if you're smuggling fentanyl, or if you're breaking laws in addition to entering the United States illegally, I'd like to see you prosecuted and incarcerated in a speedy fashion.
Why is this such a big issue for you?
Well, I mean, multiple. I mean, the fentanyl crisis alone is killing 150,000 people a year.
Okay.
That's one, and people should enter the country legally. Your first act coming into this country shouldn't be breaking the law.
Gotcha. Now, you understand, we did a bet yesterday. I don't know if that person will show back up today, but fentanyl, 90%, according to Custom and Border, 90% of fentanyl comes through legally, and 90% by American citizens. So almost all the fentanyl we have here is coming across the border. I mean, technically, legally. Obviously, you're not supposed to bring drugs across, but it's American citizens that are trafficking it. And it's coming through ports of entry, it's coming from border crossings and on airplanes.
I haven't seen that, but I mean, in addition to that, we'd have to step up customs enforcement at ports of entry. And
right, but why?
Whether they're United States citizens or not, I feel like they need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Well, that's the question. That's the question I have for Republicans in general. I understand the idea of like not wanting fentanyl on the streets. I understand the idea of not wanting people being trafficked either for labor or for sex work. I get both of that. Where I've struggled with Republicans, and even when I was a Republican, I had a different view on the wall. It's a weird thing. It seems that Republicans focus on this wall as like this sign of strength. It's something that they've wanted for so long that they've now forgotten that the wall fixes almost nothing.
Well, you're right in a sense, because you have to disincentivize the act of crossing the United States illegally to begin with. So say you could take the wall away.
Yeah. If
you cross the United States illegally, you're going to be deported and remain in Mexico. And if you're breaking a law in addition to being in the country illegally, you're going to be detained and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. So,
So why do you think on like Republicans on the debate stage in the media, they're constantly talking about the wall, but I've yet to hear a Republican address the real problem. And the real problem is that Americans want fentanyl. The real problem is that Americans want trafficked labor.
You're right. You have to kill the demand too. It's also.
But why don't they focus on that? Like
it's also a local law enforcement issue as well.
But why don't Republicans focus on that? Why do they always focus on the wall? Because you can build the wall all you want. That's going to stop maybe 10% of what's going on. People are being trafficked. Almost every problem you're talking about, people are trafficked and they come through by legal means. They overstay visas. They may have a family member. It may be a child who doesn't have an identification, but the person trafficking them does. Like all of these problems. For example, if there was no need for, or I guess desire for trafficked children or for narcotics, if there was no need for people to get that from Mexico, then wouldn't that solve all of our problems?
Yes, that's part of the problem. In addition to the, you need local law enforcement is also part of the problem. You need to enforce the laws locally, and in the major cities, it's gotten better in recent months and years because it's been so out of control. But you see law enforcement failing on the local level too.
But studies show that, like, you're talking about punitive justice. Like, all studies show that punitive justice doesn't even work. Us jailing people for petty drug crimes does not work. Restorative justice is actually, studies show, is the way. It's not. We're not policing enough. We have 25% of the world's. We have 25% of the world's prisoners. We are policing more than anybody else is ever been policed or does police all around the world. We're doing more of it.
You're throwing me off with what you just. I've never. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I've never heard.
Well, I'm just. These are the facts.
Let me just finish my point. I believe in the broken windows theory, policing theory that Giuliani used in the early '90s in New York City, which odds are, the person that's breaking into the vehicle to steal a purse that's sitting on the center console is likely the next person to commit a homicide. It's just a statistical fact. I mean, if you look at the 1990s and you look at the policies that Giuliani implemented, it cleaned up New York City. It went.
Wait, but that's not the broken. Wait, that's also not the broken windows theory.
No, that's a broken windows.
No, and it's not a statistical fact because you feel that way. You said it, a feeling you have.
I mean, is there any question that from the end of the David Dinkins administration to the beginning of the Michael Bloomberg administration that crime was decreased in New York City? I'm from the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area.
Are you talking about violent crime?
Crime. I'm talking about crime.
Okay. So real quick.
Violent crime, non-violent crime, it was all significantly reduced under Giuliani. There's no question about it.
That's true. But the thing is we also saw nationwide crime dropping at that same exact time with different laws. Crime has been falling in this country for decades.
Wow.
Did you know that?
Yes, you're right. It's still a problem though.
Like if I want to look at just and hold on real quick. Hold on. If I want to look just at Giuliani was mayor in the early 90s, is that right?
1993 to 2001 or 94 to 2000, the early 90s to right around 9/11.
So Giuliani, here's the funny thing that Giuliani did. We had a massive crime spike in the early 80s, especially in New York, in the early 80s, early 90s. If you're looking at the total numbers, and this includes murder, M-word, grape, robbery, felony assault, burglary, grand larceny. Before Giuliani took over in 1990, the total number was just under 500,000. When Giuliani took over, it was already down to 400,000. Like, we had already seen a decrease. It was already dropping. By the time he left, we were down to 160,000, and now our current numbers are around 120,000.
So it decreased by 300% under Giuliani.
Yes, but
I mean, it's still,
hold on. What I'm saying is that it was trending down. So if you're going to take Giuliani and you're going to say what Giuliani did is the way to do things, then you have to also look across the country and see many other cities where the crime rate was also dropping at similar rates, and they had very different policies than Giuliani. By the way, just to be clear, so you don't do it. The broken window theory is not the person breaking into a car, stealing a purse, is the person most likely to commit a violent crime. The broken window theory is that, like, visible signs of crime. So if you are going through parts of town and there are broken windows, boarded up windows, that creates antisocial behavior and civil unrest. So it was specifically his justification for going into underfunded, poor communities and saying, well, if they look bad, then there's crime here. That was the broken window.
Well, that's
theory.
where the crime is. I mean, it's not a racial issue. I mean, the crime is in the
I didn't say it was I didn't say it was a racial issue necessarily. Now they go together a lot of times, especially in New York City. Those two things go together. Poor neighborhoods often were minority neighborhoods, but that's what Giuliani was saying.
Okay,
if you look at the statistics of we did this on a live the other day. I have the studies here, but if you look at the statistics of people who just who use marijuana, right? In affluent communities, you are far less likely to get arrested for possessing or smoking marijuana. But if you live
I wouldn't say that at all.
No, but it's true.
Statistically, it's true.
I live in a suburban neighborhood, and I'll tell you right now, if
when's the last time you saw somebody get arrested in your suburban neighborhood for weed?
I mean, marijuana is legal for the most part now. It's not. I'm talking about when it was criminal.
Yeah, 10, where do you think did you see a lot more? You see a bunch of busts in your very suburban neighborhood?
Sure, I did. Absolutely.
You saw marijuana busts in your suburban neighborhood.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
So statistically, we're talking about statistics, not your personal feeling, though, because these are two different things. Like how you feel and statistically what is happening across the country or in New York City.
I'm telling you my personal experience of what I saw.
Yeah, how you're
feeling and seeing are two different things.
Right, but if we look at it, so the point was getting at it statistically.
I was trying to give you an example of my personal experience.
Right, but if we look at it statistically, you're far more likely to not only be stopped, but also to be arrested and charged with marijuana possession, just if you're black. Despite the fact that usage rates are higher with white people.
I mean,
do you see how that might be a problem?
I mean, listen, if you look at the inner cities now, okay, I'll tell you right now because I'm in them every day. There's open air drug use in every single one of them. From heroin to marijuana to whatever, and it's not being enforced at all. I mean,
what do you mean it's not being enforced?
People aren't being arrested for drug possession, and
do you think people should be arrested for using drugs?
Absolutely.
Why?
Why? Because it's against the law.
But why is that against the law? Why should that be against the law? Why is that something we need?
Why should open air drug use be against the law?
Yeah.
Heroin, because it destroys people's lives.
But it's their body, right?
Crime.
Is it hurting?
Consensual crimes shouldn't be crimes if this is a free country. If you really want to get into it.
Now you're just going.
Well, no, this is a real question. If your
theory is that you want drugs legalized, if you want drugs legalized,
well, you're saying that it's a problem. I'm telling you that statistically, when you look at developed countries, let me speak. Let me see. I'm gonna tell you what I think.
You just said you want drugs.
Statistically, again, not about your feelings, but statistically, if you look at developed countries that are having success with a war on drugs, it's not let's go attack cartels. It's you reallocate money, not to putting people in jail like you so desperately want. We already have 25% of the world's prisoners. What you do is you invest money into rehabilitation and education. That's how we basically got people to stop smoking in this country. Rehabilitation and education, not putting people in jail. Statistically, Portugal has decriminalized drugs, and has had more success than any developed nation in handling that issue.
Go take a look at Seattle. I wouldn't call that a success. But let's just take this as an example. You just said that you don't think drugs should be legal.
Hold on. You have to understand that what happened in Seattle and what happened in Portugal are vastly different. Portugal
I just want to go back to another point.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me just speak quick. You just said you want drugs legal, which is fine to me. It's your opinion.
Well, I said they should be decriminalized.
Legal.
Decriminalized.
Okay, semantics.
Decriminalized.
Semantics.
We should not be putting people into for-profit prisons, a slave labor pipeline under the 13th Amendment, using petty drug crimes to make people engage in slave labor in for-profit prisons. That's what I'm talking about. We should decriminalize it, not prosecute the crimes and jail people.
It's funny. In the 13th Amendment,
they need to be rehabilitated and educated.
No, I'm going to educate you on the 13th Amendment. In the 13th Amendment, if you're a criminal, you're not protected under the 13th Amendment. Did you know that?
Yes, that's specifically what I'm saying, sir. If you would listen to me, I know I have the voice of a woman, so you don't like to listen when I speak. That's literally what I'm saying, is that petty drug crimes are used as a slave labor pipeline in for-profit prisons. That was literally my exact comment.
And where did you read that?
Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the parties shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States. So there is no slavery nor involuntary servitude allowed in this country unless it is as a punishment for a crime.
And in the United
That's
States,
what she
under
said.
state law and federal law.
Yeah, so that's what she's talking about. She's talking
drug
she's
possession.
Yeah,
drug
so
Again, I said that.
Well, I might.
You could say
I
it
might
slower, but I said that.
I might have misunderstood you then. Maybe I just misunderstood you. But my point is that if you want drugs to be legal, then just come out and say it. Just tell people what you're really all about.
I want drugs to be legal.
Perfect.
I want them to be decriminalized, and I want us to reallocate the money, because all sociological studies show that if you want to actually handle an addiction problem in a country, then you allocate the money towards rehabilitation and education, not towards putting people in jail so they can do slave labor.
I don't know where you're getting that people are doing slave labor in prison for profit.
Yeah, so here it is. So there
are. I mean, for drug use. Hold on. For petty drug possession.
Hey, brother. Hold on. There are 4, and just stick with me here, because it's going to take a second. So I understand. I'm not trying to get you with gotcha questions here, and I know that happens a lot on lives. I promise this is in good faith. You know that there's prisons that are for profit, right?
Yes,
like
I do.
Private prisons.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And where do they generate their profit from?
Slave labor.
Right. So that's what we're saying. So if you are locking, so hold on, and let me give you just this example. We talked earlier about how drugs. It
and I don't necessarily agree.
Hold on. I know. I promise. I told you. Just bear with me here. We agreed that drugs can ruin people's lives, right? It can ruin your life. It can result to even your own life being ended. I agree with you. I think that there are many drugs, things that we classify as drugs, that are very harmful. Now, let's just say that you do you want to share your name, or what do you want me to call you?
You could call me Pete.
Pete? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Pete. So let's just say that, Pete, you decide that you're going to be an amateur tattoo artist, and you go and you get a tattoo gun, and you decide to practice on yourself. And you practice, you put a tattoo on your thigh, and you don't treat it right. It winds up getting infected, and you have to amputate your leg because you didn't handle things the right way. It was dangerous for you to do that. You didn't know what you were doing. You misused the equipment. You got an infection and your leg was amputated. Should you also go to jail for that?
For amputating your own leg?
No, because you caused damage to your own body. It got infected and your leg was amputated. Should you go to jail for that?
Should you go to jail for
causing your leg to be yes.
Well, no.
Okay, so then why should you go to jail for taking drugs?
Well, number one, drug use affects other people because in associated.
Well, so does this. So, well,
Here, I'll give you.
There's not a way that drug use.
I'll give you some personal insight, okay, of a personal experience that I had with a family member who was addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not talking about a theoretical of tattooing yourself. I'm talking about somebody who was addicted to drugs. Okay, raging heroin addict, stole from their family.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, that's a separate crime that should be prosecuted.
We're
Infringing on someone else's right is a separate crime.
Yeah,
we're just
only
talking about drug use and addiction.
Who were locked up for doing drugs, not for any of the other crimes that they committed.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Just the use.
No, and they should be rehabilitated. I agree with that.
Perfect. So this is the problem, though. For centuries, ever since we started the war on drug, Rudy Giuliani specifically, when he implemented stop and frisk, there were a lot of things. But if you got stopped, you could be going to work. You could have a family at home. You could be going to work. And you could be a school teacher just walking to work, and you get stopped, probably because in that scenario, the color of your skin, you get searched, and you've got a little bit of weed in your bag because on the way home, you were going to smoke after a long day at work. You can go to jail. Now, if that's your second offense, you really, probably a fine first. If it's your second offense, you're going to jail. Now, your family's not fed. You were a productive member of society. You were going to teach children, and children are assholes, so you need to chill after work, and you just wanted to smoke a J on your way home from work. But
I hear you, man.
Those people were funneled into these prisons, and the people that own the for-profit prisons, those people are very influential, and they depend on labor. They depend on people to come into those prisons and provide them with slave labor so they can make their money.
You're also talking into something that else that's called prosecutorial discretion, and there's other things other than prison.
Mandatory minimums, my friend. Mandatory minimums. Part of what Giuliani did and part of what Donald Trump is advocating is mandatory minimums, meaning it doesn't matter at all who your judge is. The judge's hands are tied and they are required to give you a minimum sentence.
That's
the
proposed,
prosecution, the judge.
Proposed federal legislation.
Donald Trump is proposing federal minimums for drug crimes.
For the unaliving of dealers. He wants to put them to death.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you something. I know people who have died from fentanyl inadvertently. Babies. A friend of mine's granddaughter picked up fentanyl and died. 2 years old.
Where'd they get fentanyl? Okay. Where did they get it?
From the irresponsible drug user parent that left the fentanyl laying around that the baby went and touched and the baby died. Who's responsible there?
Same thing. What if that was Drano? What if it was Drano? What if?
Okay, but also most studies have showed that you cannot die from touching it. So that I also don't believe that story.
I don't really.
You need to look up the stories before you tell these weird personal anecdotes that aren't true, because you don't die from touching fentanyl. So let's move on from that story.
That's I got news for you.
No,
it's been well documented.
Pete, it's been well documented and it's been well debunked. The stories, the scare stories that came out about fentanyl largely are untrue. These stories, these anecdotal stories of people who open a package and there's fentanyl there and they wind up having like a seizure or like those, none of those have been medically confirmed. Not a single solitary one of them. It's meant to scare you. By the way, it's the same.
You're telling me not to believe my own eyes. You're telling me not to believe my own eyes.
I am definitely saying that you made that story up to try to make a point. Every time you try to make a point, rather than citing a statistic, you start saying, I knew a guy.
Yeah,
let's move away from your, hey, I knew a guy, because I'm telling you, it has been debunked that topically touching fentanyl does not kill you. So we can move on from that.
Okay. That's nonsense, but you're entitled to your
opinion. Are you saying you were there when that happened?
Was I there?
You were in that. You were in the house.
I was at the wake of the 2-year-old baby.
Okay, so you don't know.
And I'll tell you where the grandmother.
So you don't know. Wait, hold on.
I'll tell you where the grandmother.
Pete.
The grandmother's in prison now.
Pete, I didn't say your name, Pete, so that you could stop and finish talking. I'm saying, Pete, that touching fentanyl is not what caused that. I'm not saying that what happened wasn't a tragedy. I'm not saying anything. I'm not trying to say that child was not unalive. I'm saying that topically touching fentanyl would not have done it.
Well, whether it was topical or whether it was ingested. The baby
that's different, right?
The cause of death is fentanyl.
That's not the story you told, Pete. Now the goalposts are moving.
Tomato. The baby is dead.
No, Pete. If I pour poison on your skin that doesn't hurt you topically, but if you ingest, like if I pour, let's say, bleach on your skin versus if you drink bleach, very different, right?
Listen, if the baby got a hold of bleach,
I feel like it would be okay if you just like answered questions, right? Okay. You understand how it's different?
You guys just lost me because you're getting so far carried.
Because your story was a fairy tale. Your story started with a 2-year-old touched fentanyl and was unalived, and by the end you're like, well, maybe they ingested it. Tomato.
You guys can
that's
believe
not tomato.
You can believe what you
tomato.
Want.
Chick-fil-A.
I'm asking, can you repeat the question? Because just repeat the question. What's your question?
The question's not that important, other than like that's not. It wasn't that somebody topically touched fentanyl and then they were gone. That didn't happen.
Because I'll tell you where the mother is now.
Just want to read this to you from a doctor. Can fentanyl be absorbed through the skin or by touching an item or surface where it is present? It is a common misconception that fentanyl can be absorbed through the skin, but it is not true for casual exposure. You can't overdose on fentanyl by touching a doorknob or dollar bill. The one case in which fentanyl can be absorbed through the skin is with a special doctor prescribed fentanyl skin patch. So we can move on from that story.
Okay. I mean, bottom line, why are you defending drug use? I mean, you go back to
I'll explain why. I'm defending drug use because you have the right to ingest things in your own body, in my opinion. But more importantly, I don't think that people choosing to make decisions with their own body that affect nobody else should be a crime. And I don't think that because somebody chose to use drugs, that means that they should then be a slave.
I agree with that. So I mean, and again, you said that Trump is proposing some kind of federal minimum mandate.
Yes.
I wasn't aware. I know the policy, and it's DeSantis' policy too, on people who are smuggling fentanyl into the country, that they're going to be treated as enemy combatants, which I fully agree with wholeheartedly, and I hope they do.
Because he said that they would essentially shoot them first, ask questions later. You don't know what is in someone's backpack. That's the problem. Now we're talking about a whole nother issue, right? He's talking about literally unaliving people, having no idea whether or not they're committing a crime. That's the quotes from DeSantis.
Well, I mean, listen. If it's a known smuggling, okay, let's take an example. If it's a known smuggling tunnel or a known trafficking group like MS-13 or something, if that person,
what are they wearing a sign saying I'm MS-13? How do you even know who they are?
Listen,
brother, it just seems like you're just like
you have a point. Okay. You have a point.
This is the problem I have with.
I agree with the idea of that. Okay.
Yeah, and this is the problem with the Republican policy. So I fully believe that the reason that you want to close the border is because you want to protect Americans. I don't doubt that for 1 second. I don't doubt that it's important to you, and I also don't doubt that you've been fed messaging that we don't care on our side. What I can say is this, like, I've changed my opinion on drugs forever. I don't know if you've studied what happened in Portugal, but in Portugal, what they did, they had a massive problem. I believe it was it meth, or was it it was either meth or it was heroin. I think it was heroin, actually, now that I think about it. Heroin was like a big problem there. In Portugal, basically what they did is they set up these centers, and they said to people, listen, you cannot go out and you can't go out and you can't go buy this stuff on the street, but you can come here to these centers, and we will give you a non-lethal dose. You can have a non-lethal dose, and you have to stay here while you're high. But by the way, in this center,
I think it's a tragedy.
Hold on. You're not there yet. See, this is the problem, Pete.
Go ahead.
So while they were in that center, there were also things like classes. There were also things like job training. There were also things like addiction and treatment programs. And what they found is, after, I don't remember how many years it took, a couple years, I think their rate of use had dropped by something like 800%. It was remarkably successful, and people came out not only not cured of their addiction, but able to manage their addiction, but they also didn't have a criminal record. So they came out without an addiction, with job training, with education, and they went right back into society, to a place where they were making money. They felt like they were part of it. One of the biggest problems we have is that when people have addiction and they become criminals because of their addiction, they can no longer get good jobs. They can't live in certain places. They can only live in places that are either underfunded or maybe riddled with drugs themselves. They can't get high-paying jobs. They can't get they can't get clearance to go certain places. Like, you are capped because you have an addiction, right? Which is a disease. We all know it's a disease. And in Portugal, they said, this doesn't work, because if we just keep doing, we're just going to keep cycling these same people through. It's one of the things Giuliani maybe correctly identified the problem, but not the solution. The problem is the revolving door. You have to stop the door from revolving. You have to do something different. And Republicans are stuck with the Ronald Reagan policies of the war on drugs, and it hasn't worked. We're 50 years into this. We've had times where we were really strict. We've had times where we weren't strict. And no matter what we did, we've been losing the war on drugs. And that's because we're treating it as a crime and not and not something that needs to be treated, not a condition.
Listen,
right?
I agree with what you're saying as far as rehabilitation and treatment goes. I do.
Universal health care, dog.
What's that?
Then universal health care. No, for real. Yeah. How else are you going to pay for treatment?
Can I finish though? Can I just
No,
finish?
I think this is Well, no, I'm asking you a question. If you agree with
I want
treatment,
to finish the point on drugs.
We're still on that. If you agree, then how are we going to fix the problem? If you agree we need treatment, how are we going to do that?
I mean, I would say that a lot of people that are in those programs are already on Medicaid now.
I don't know what percentage. I think that'd be a really.
I would say it's a significant. But they don't have jobs and receiving treatment. Somebody's paying
anecdotally,
for it.
Not a single one of my friends who has been addicted to drugs was on Medicaid. Most of my friends came from like suburban areas. Their parents had money. Their parents went into debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars, sending them to treatment centers.
No, well,
I mean, obviously, I grew up with privilege, so my experience is going to be different than other people's experience. But I would imagine no, that most of them aren't on Medicaid.
well, anyway, I'll get back to the universal healthcare thing with you in a second. But as far as I agree with you that with rehabilitation and therapy and I think that the judicial and punitive process of first getting the person off the street and introducing and giving them options, you can, like drug court, for example. I mean, you have a lot of drug court, there's plenty of drug courts out there. You say, hey, listen, you committed this crime and you're going to go to prison for 5 years, or you're going to go through this therapy, and people do. And a lot of times that fails too. And ultimately they end up in prison. I'm not saying that prison is always the answer. But
if you go to drug court,
so who's
you're
failing?
on.
Is it the judicial system or is it the rehab that's failing?
Yeah, so one of the problems with drug court is that while you're going through drug court, you're on probation. You're effectively a felon, right? You still can't go out and get jobs. You're still limited in places that you live. You're still looked at as a pariah. That's one of the problems that we have with drug court. Again, the problem is that we treat addiction differently. We treat it like a crime.
Listen,
rather than what it really is.
I'm not saying that somebody doesn't deserve a second chance. I mean, how you institutionalize that, I mean,
you don't. You make it, you incentivize good behavior.
That's what I meant by punitive versus restorative justice. Rather than labeling people as criminals, restorative justice, that's what it is. It's about rehabilitation and it's about second chances. And statistically, these are the types of systems that have long-term effects and help people to not reoffend. That's what I'm saying. Throwing people in jail, having them do slave labor is not taking away any problems.
Listen, I didn't say that prison is, I never said that prison is the only answer. I think that both, I think the prison systems failed people, and I think that the rehabs have failed people at the same time too. I think it's the individual who has to, be done with it.
It is, but look, it's also...
I quit smoking cigarettes cold turkey. It took me a long time.
Yeah, but when you quit smoking, it wasn't like when you quit smoking, you were able to do that on your own, but there were no consequences in society. You were able to live where you wanted. You were able to get what jobs you could, you were qualified for. Again, it's the punitive nature of what the way that we treat people with addiction that is the problem. We look,
so how do you get them
and
off
this
the
is
street?
Okay, so do you want my prescription? You're gonna fucking hate it, but it would work.
Go ahead.
Legalize all drugs. Legalize sex work. Create a system. Take the money that we were spending on border security, or at least a big chunk of it, and invest, and even more. We can allocate it from other places and invest in treatment. And that treatment needs to be universal. Every single person. Every single. Well, if you're gonna let me wait, I'm explaining the whole thing. Every single person in America should have health care coverage. Every single person should have access to treat any maladies that they may have, including drug addiction. Every single person. And we create a program for people with addiction, and they get to go there. There's no copay. There's no deductible. You go and you're taken care of. You no longer have to make the choice.
So who pays for it all when everybody's on drugs?
Well, not everybody.
When everybody in the country's on drugs.
Hold on though. Because if you remember, in the places this has been tried, which is where I'm getting this data from, in Portugal, drug use went down 800%. This has been shown to not only lower the punitive damages for addiction, but it's also limited the amount of people who wind up addicted.
I mean, I'm not gonna say you're wrong because I don't have evidence to the contrary because I've never. I mean, I think it's a ridiculous theory, but I can't prove you're wrong.
Well, I want to say something. Hold on, I want to say something.
I got to get off the phone. I got to get going. But no. You said I would hate what you had to say, and I don't. I like that you're being honest about what you have to say because it gives people bold colored differences. People heard what you had to say and people heard what I had to say, my theory on it and your theory on it, and it gives people something to choose from. There's bold colored differences. It's not pale pastels. That's two completely different ideas of what a society should be, and it's been presented, and I'm happy.
Yeah, and mine has data backing it up saying it works, and yours has 50 years of data saying this shit doesn't work.
No, his data was Rudy Giuliani did a good job, in my opinion.
The war on drugs. The war on
co-conspirator number one.
I guess we'll
did a good job.
Right?
Well, we can agree to disagree if you want, but but if you wanted to show me the evidence that the war on drug works, like you had an opportunity and you haven't, and I'm showing you in Portugal that it did work. So we can agree to disagree, but what you're really saying is
I never said
we
I
can
never, I never
we can
argued
agree
the war
that you
on
don't have
drugs.
data
I never
saying
argued
yours
that the war on
works.
drugs was. I never told you the war on drugs was a success.
I know, but you're advocating for policies, the continuation of the policies of the war on drugs that haven't worked.
Okay, well,
you know what I mean? Like, dude, at some point, like, do we really need? We've done it for 50 years. Shit's not working. Do we really need to keep doing this? Do we think year 60 is when it kicks in? 70, 80? Like, at what point are we even going to see a turning point? It's getting worse and worse and worse. Over policing, jailing people who do drugs, it doesn't work. And Republicans, conservatives, I guess you're a conservative. I get it. You don't like change. Change is scary, but this shit's not working. It's time to try stuff that's been like we've done these experiments in other countries.
That's why what's great is we have laboratories of democracy in this country. We have federalism, so every state can try it their way. You have Seattle trying it their way. You have New Jersey trying it their way. You have Texas trying it their way, and you have Florida trying it their way. So let's put both of our theories to test. And
I don't know that you would know, Pete, because you mentioned Seattle. Like, Seattle is this like haven of drug use, and you're leaving out the fact that, like, most drug use happens in poor cities, but in a lot of red states. There are many red cities and towns that are doing much worse.
It's a national problem,
and those people aren't getting treatment, and they're going to jail. I would hold up Seattle against any red city.
What about San Francisco?
I would hold up San Francisco against any red city, 100%. If you look at them statistically, when you look at the actual numbers, when you break down the actual, if you break down the actual percentages, they are actually doing better than red cities. They are. It's just that
how come everybody's trying to get away from them? How come
they're not? That's just what your news is telling you. That's a lie.
Well, how
people
that is a Fox News narrative. You're just repeating a narrative
where do you get
heard.
your news? MSNBC?
I get my news probably from the same place
I listen
you
to
do.
Steve Bannon show every day. I listen to far left media. I was a historical researcher. I actually look for like primary and secondary sources. You don't need to worry about where I get my news. Listen. Now I'm going to say something because apparently you had to go, but you're still here. You'll talk to a man, but not to me. I just want to talk about stop talking.
Enough.
We're talking about mental health and issues. And do you know how people have a choice? If there was universal health care and people could get therapy and they could get regulated legal medication for mental health issues, then we wouldn't have such addiction problems. Addiction, whether you're doing it legally or illegally, right? Addiction is about self-medicating, right? And science, evidence-based science has changed, right? AA was a Christian-based program that is being literally mandated by courts that says, hey, you're an addict. You can't change. You are powerless. Stop talking. You are powerless against your addiction. And science, evidence-based science has showed us that actually that is a complete lie. Neuroplasticity, neural pathways change. So just the rhetoric of telling people you're powerless against your addiction is one of the biggest lies that has ever been told in this country. And yes, we do need to provide mental health care. We need to provide legal medication for addiction so that people who have low income and are uninsured do not have to self-medicate illegally.
She done? Very interesting. Okay. Anyway, I really got to run, but I'd be happy to talk to you another time.
That was a weird way when you asked me if she was done. First of all, it's weird to say you're done when somebody finishes, but even more weird that you asked me if she was done. Like, this is my friend Felice. She was the one who was talking to you. You probably should just ask her. This is raw, unfiltered truth. Might have just been raw truth. I can't remember. The raw truth. 23 times 2. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Your lives are always interesting.
Thanks.
I'm actually hearing all that. I've actually been here before and all that. I friended both of you, but I came here because somebody that watches your live a lot and everything like that kept bugging me and sending me a message. Oh, hey, you need to join his live. It's like I've been on your live before.
Well, welcome back.
Yep. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. But yeah, it's pretty much the same topics that we talked about last time I was here. You know, the legalization of crime and everything else, and making everything legal and making everybody pay for it. It's really crazy.
Why?
Really? So all these sites and all that would be sprawling up all over the place. Would they actually be held liable or anything if something happens to somebody? Because it's going to happen.
Yeah, they're medical centers just like a hospital. You still have malpractice. These facilities are gonna be run by doctors. So yeah, there's still malpractice.
Now, do they provide the stuff that they're going to use?
Yes.
No, they don't. Most of the places and all that are
You're-
actually
Wait, you're asking for
implemented
you're asking.
worldwide.
Wait, hold on. Are you asking for my opinion?
Well, I just wanted to see what you said. You said yes, they would provide it, but
Yeah,
all the
this is
sites that
yeah.
are
This doesn't
around,
exist. This is a hypothetical. This doesn't exist in our
actually,
country.
yeah, well, it exists all in other countries and all that. The Democrats are trying to mirror, and the people bring in their own.
That's not all. That's not true. In I don't know which. Where are you talking about? Where they bring in their own?
You can actually look it up really easy.
Or you could just tell me.
Yeah, mainly in Europe, Canada, Australia. Typically, addicts, users come in with their
I mean,
own
Europe
drugs
is
and are
Europe is a
given clean
continent,
needles
right?
and clean, safe space to consume them.
Yeah, but Europe is a continent, right? So you're talking like I believe in Portugal it was provided for them.
Well, I just told you, Europe, Canada, and Australia.
Okay, but
Yeah,
Europe
these
is a
are about
continent.
public health issues, right? So it has to do with like
And those
the
are
providing of things like clean needles, things of like that nature. That's about reducing a public health emergency, the spread of
and that's
disease, like you creating safe environments with lower crime. Like, yeah, all of those safe places where people can get safe supplies so they don't poison themselves or others. That's about the public health and
so how.
following statistical evidence in how to keep the public safe.
But how does that keep the public safe and all that? Because they actually have to get those to bring them there. And if they're addicts without jobs, how do you think they're going to get them? Any
Bring
means
who
necessary.
where? Say that
That's what a
again.
lot of people don't
No,
understand.
we don't
How
know
are
what
they
you
going
said.
to
No,
get it?
Yeah, I'm
shush, shush.
confused.
Nobody
I'm
knows what you
confused.
said. What
Well, I'm being
what are you
careful and
saying?
all that because
Okay,
you have
try
a
try
lot
it a
of
different.
people that
We
like
just
to mask
I
report.
get it, dude. I get it. I'm just asking you to restate what you said because we don't know what you're talking about.
Well, they don't provide what they're going to be using.
Okay, but I'm advocating that we do. So I don't know what you're arguing. I'm saying we should.
Wow, and that actually makes sense to you.
Yeah, just like in every hospital, in every doctor's office, the drugs that are needed to treat you are provided there. Yeah,
Treat you, not
treat
recreational.
you.
Treating and recreational is two
Yeah,
different
addiction
things.
is a disease, my friend.
No, it's not.
It
It's a
is a
choice.
disease. No, the first time you
I,
choose
I
to
read
do
a.
drug,
I
hold on. When you choose to do a
choose.
drug, yeah, it doesn't mean that it's not a disease.
You
You
don't
understand that,
choose to
right?
be. You don't choose to have a disease and all that. You get it.
Yeah, and that's exactly. Wait, hold on. There are plenty of diseases that you can get that start with a choice you make. That doesn't mean that the disease itself is not a disease.
Diabetes. Should we not give anyone insulin because they ate sugar?
Wait a minute. So you can actually choose not to be a diabetic. Is that what you're saying, Felice?
No, I'm making the point. I'm asking you. So people eating sugar, we shouldn't provide cheap insulin because they did this to themselves.
Does it affect everybody the same way?
Does what affect
Does
everybody the same
everybody
way?
eat sugar and just become a diabetic?
No, but drugs also don't affect
Not
everybody the
everyone
same
becomes
way.
an addict.
Yeah.
Yeah, drugs give everybody a high, and that's why they use them.
Yeah, but
Why
there's
it's
Yeah, that,
also
but that
recreational,
analogy
not
collapsed on
medical.
it. The line of logic is broken. That it doesn't make sense what you just said.
You're trying to equate sugar with drugs. It's
the
ignorant.
addictive quality of sugar is very similar. In fact, if you look at brain scans when people eat sugar,
Reaching again.
it's not reaching again. Just shut up when
Yeah.
other people are talking, okay? It's getting annoying getting interrupted with your
Well, say
dumb.
something substantial and all
Well,
that
I
instead
didn't
of a
finish
bunch
the
of
fucking
BS.
statement, but you don't know anything about science. And if you look
Yeah,
at
and all
brains,
you have is
and if you
spewing
look at
BS.
brain scans, and look at what happens to people's brains with sugar, the dopamine receptors, it's almost identical to drugs. It's extremely addictive. Sugar is probably the most addictive substance on earth. Processed sugar. There's been studies done on this all over the world. Processed
Yeah.
sugar is more addictive than most drugs, and it reacts with the dopamine receptors in almost an identical way. It's
Yeah, I
100,
know.
and so
I just
people can become addicted to sugar, and sometimes people become addicted to sugar and they become diabetic. So are you saying that we should not provide treatment for diabetics because they chose to eat sugar? That's what Felice is asking.
yeah, I understand what you're saying and all that. I just
Okay,
read
can
an
you answer the
article the other
question
day,
then?
and this is
The
completely
question
fact
is,
here and all
the
that.
question
I
is,
remember
the
somebody robbing
question
somebody and all
is,
that to get a
the
candy bar.
question
I do remember
is,
that.
the question is, should we not provide treatment to diabetics because they chose to eat sugar?
And that's an idiotic statement,
The
and you stretch.
it's not a statement, it's a
It's
question,
an
and I'm
idiotic
waiting for an
statement, and that's
answer.
all you
No, I'm
have.
asking for an
Answer the
answer to a
question.
question.
You're talking about a medical condition and all that that nobody chooses to do. People choose to do drugs.
There are
Genius.
two types
You choose to eat
of
sugar.
You're
diabetes.
Type 2
stretching and you're trying to
diabetes.
twist
Type
stuff to
2
try to
diabetes.
justify
The
your way of
pervasive issue
thinking.
with diabetes in this country is type 2 diabetes, right? So there are people type 1 diabetes. That's not a choice, right? That's a type of diabetes you usually develop like late childhood, right? That's not a choice. That's not from sugar. We're talking about the largely pervasive problem in this country of type 2 diabetes. People are choosing to eat sugar, to continue to eat sugar, and then develop diabetes. Should they be able to get treatment? Because they're an
Oh,
addict. They're an
so all
addict, so they
these,
chose it. So should we let them die? That's the
they
question.
didn't choose it and all that. It's a preservative. All companies either use salt or sugar to preserve their food. You do realize that, right? I mean, it's not that hard to comprehend.
Sir, you do not have to eat sugar. Stop.
It's in everything.
Your argument is collapsing
Genius.
around
It's
itself. Before it
natural.
gets more embarrassing, just answer the question. So should people with type 2 diabetes be treated?
Yes, because it's an actual medical condition. An addict is not a medical condition. So you can try to twist it and flip it.
Bad
And
news,
pop it
dog.
however
Yeah, it
much you
is.
want.
Where'd you
But
get your
guess
medical
what?
degree? Wait,
You're wrong.
Where'd you get? Well, here's the problem. People with medical degrees, experts, they disagree with you. And you have, where's your medical
All the
degree
ones
from?
trying to get paid for
All
making
the
a
ones
paper.
trying
Okay,
to
got
shut
it.
up. No, where'd you get your medical degree?
I got it. The ones trying to
Where'd you get your
make
medical
money off
degree?
of the paper.
Where'd you
Yeah,
get
I
your
got it.
medical degree?
I can read, and I have common
That's
sense.
questionable, and the second one's questionable too. But where'd you get your medical degree?
Well, so far
Okay,
you
let's
haven't
just say,
had
so
any
you
facts
don't
at
have a
all.
medical degree. So which medical study did you read that
Well,
proves
the
that,
same
what
can be said
medical,
for you.
what medical study did you read that proves that addiction is not a disease? Can you cite a source, please?
What? Because somebody
Can
told
you cite a
you.
source, please?
So somebody that
Can
told
you
you
cite a source,
something, you
please?
just
Can you cite
bought
a
it.
source,
Okay, got
please?
it.
I've
Who
got
cares
my
about the
hands right
source and
here.
all that?
They're on a keyboard now, and I'm looking for the source. What was the source you wanted to cite?
What about
What was
addiction?
this?
Is
Yeah,
not a
addiction is
disease?
not a disease.
It's a
My
choice.
fingers are ready.
It's
But
a
what was the
choice.
source you
Because,
wanted to
like you
cite?
said and everything like
And
that,
what was
they
the
have to
source
make
that
a
you wanted to
choice.
cite?
You
And what was
literally
the
said
and
right
what
at the
was the
beginning
source?
they have to
And
make
the
a
source
choice.
and the source that you wanted to cite, you potato, is what? You're muted. I muted you. What is the source that you wanted to cite here? Can't hear you.
You have no facts. You spread propaganda,
What is
BS,
the
and all
source
that.
that you wanted
And
to
your
cite? What is
emotions
the source
over
that you wanted
actual
to
fact.
cite? I'll mute you again. Now, what you just did was stupid. I asked you for a fact, and you came back by saying, I don't have facts. So you're insinuating that you do. So I'm asking for the facts, and that would require a source. So can you give me the source that you're citing because you have so many facts?
It wouldn't be that hard and all that. You can
Okay,
find a
so if
scientist
it's
that
not
goes
hard, you
either
can just
way.
give it to me. Yeah, what is
Yes,
the
I
source?
know you guys love to hang
And
on
the
the
source
source
is what?
crap and everything
Yeah,
like that.
we
And
we
if it isn't,
rely on
then
scientific
propaganda to
data
back
to
up your
make our
bullshit.
decisions. Yeah, we rely on scientific data to come to our conclusions when we're talking about science. So
Feelings.
again, what's the
Feelings are not
source?
facts.
What's your source?
It's a choice.
Yeah, get fucked. Now I remember that guy. Like, just come on and just say.
Well, I mean, we can talk about capitalism, right? Like, why is the FDA allowing all of us to be pumped with sugar? Because privatized profit, right? Because privatized profit. And so sugar's the same thing. Like, you think you want to talk about illegal drugs. Well, think about legal ones. Like, the most addictive drug, I think the most harmful drug is alcohol, right? The Kennedys made their fortune bootlegging. And now, I mean, should we be giving liver transplants? I mean, is that a choice to drink? Right? And then you're talking about advertising campaigns, right? We're programming children to love sugar, to crave sugar, and then saying, you know what I mean? So of course it's not a choice, right? Addiction is not a choice. And to say that it is to laugh in the face of evidence-based science. Like, no, there's no study that has ever showed that addiction is a choice.
Yeah, and when we talk about sugar, this was from the Ramsey Healthcare, a review published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, showing that sugar has a similar effect on the brain as illegal drugs like cocaine. The review looked at all existing research about sugar and its potential addictive qualities, leading the author to conclude that unlike salt, there is no aversion signal to sugar, a built-in safety mechanism that protects us from eating too much salt. This isn't present in sugar, and so people can eat a lot of it and still want more. Whereas once people have eaten enough salt, they don't want any more. The withdrawal systems are very similar to any drug addiction because of the dopamine deficiency that it creates. Your body learns to rely on sugar for dopamine. So you have withdrawal symptoms, your dietary energy, your metabolism all falls apart, and you have a reward center in your brain. There's a reward system neurologically programmed in your brain when you eat that much sugar, and then you have to unlearn that. All of these things act in the same way as virtually any drug, and yet it is okay for somebody to be addicted to sugar and we treat that, but it's not okay for somebody to be addicted to a drug and treat that. Why? Because exactly what you said. Sugar is money. It makes a lot of money for a lot of people. Processed sugar is a great money maker.
It's the dehumanizing of people. That's the conservative issue. Is like, why aren't people humans anymore?
I wanted to talk yesterday. I tried to talk to a moderate Democrat yesterday, and it's the same thing. The hard part with conservatism is you get to a point where you have to take a stance that dehumanizes people. Your foreign policy, your domestic policy, virtually everything conservatives stand for, it comes to a point where you have to dehumanize people and look the other way. And it's a bizarre thing coming from a largely Christian group of people who claim to follow the teachings of Jesus, and yet when it comes to dehumanizing people, no problem. I don't know if Coyote's opposition. Jen, are you still here? Jen will get our next one. Coyote, are you opposition?
It's the same thing with tobacco, though. Think about it. I mean, tobacco, how many billions upon billions? It's about privatized profit. Those are the real criminals. Or then you can go into, okay, addiction's a choice. Actually, sorry to disappoint you, you need to look into epigenetics. It's actually genetic in most cases. You're predisposed to addiction. So should we jail our parents? Like, how far do you want to go back? Our grandparents? Who do you want to blame for what's going on?
Well, if we're going all the way back, I mean, who created the Earth in 7 days? Maybe there's where the blame goes. No, Jen, I've got Law of the Wild. Obviously, I don't think Law of the Wild's in on his opposition. Coyote, I don't know. I know Infinite Black is too. So, Jen, bring up someone, whoever it is. I don't know how to do that. Thank you, Aaron, for all the. I like the tiny Diney. That's a cute one. Law, welcome.
Definitely not opposition.
That's all right.
But I'm a public defender, and the majority of my clients, their issues can be traced to substance use disorders. And I wanted to talk about, I requested to come up back when the previous 2 guests ago was talking about some of the things that are actually effective. When we just lock people up, when that's all we do, we have about a 70 to 80% recidivism rate, if that's all we're doing. If we put them into treatment, long-term, short-term treatment, we have about a 50 to 60% recidivism rate. What we've recognized in my district, and I cover the suburbs of Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota, is that when we put people into drug courts, that combines treatment with also an accountability structure. It's almost like AA or NA, but you have to go to court to do it, and you do it every month. And there's a high accountability structure. We see recidivism rates drop to 30%. Through that kind of combined intervention with treatment and accountability through the court system. And part of the things that's been really successful is if somebody screws up, they recognize, at least in these courts, that relapse is a part of recovery. that it doesn't mean your recovery is ended. Relapse is a bump in the road, and they work to get people on track. What I see in other counties is if you relapse, we're sending you to jail. The threat of jail does nothing to an addict because it doesn't resolve the underlying issue. So I know you're looking for ops, but I just wanted to bring that point up.
No,
And
this is
data
good.
tracks-
We love this. And in drugs are readily available in prison.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and it's the guards bringing them in. So it's, but this data tracks across anybody who does this work. You can look at any major area that institutes drug crime courts or drug courts or something similar, and they have recidivism dropping. I've seen some areas with as low as 15 to 20%, and I think that's what we need to look at and say, okay, what can we do to address the person rather than thinking we can punish them into getting rid of their disease.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
My pleasure. So yeah, feel free to drop me. I know you're looking for ops.
I'm gonna follow you.
I already
am. Follow you.
Stick around though. We may need you again. We'll holler for you.
Yeah, I'll be in the comments. So
all right,
I'll chime in if needed.
Thank you. You look nice today, by the way. You really put a nice outfit together. Look lovely.
We look like bums.
I know. See, I'm in my hoodie here. All right. Coyote, I'm gonna take you to. By the way, if you're not up, please drop out of the box if you would. It just makes I understand, and Law of the Wild we brought up on purpose, but welcome. Oh, I brought up
Hello.
two. Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's up?
I feel like addiction is a disease, but I feel like using is the choice. That's the choice part. And I know people that have an addiction are more likely to use. That's about as far as I go for addiction. I don't know. I don't believe it's not a disease. So I don't know if you agree or disagree with that.
You don't believe it's not a disease?
Correct. Yeah, double negative. I believe it is a disease, but I think using drugs, that's kind of a choice.
Well, yeah, sure. That's what we were saying to the other guy. I think we're on the same page there.
Right. But I wanted to ask Felice about her experiences with communism and how is that community structured? If you don't mind me kind of changing the subject.
Yeah, it's not something. So I visited several and stayed in for periods of time several communes in South America. Some were in the Amazon and were just indigenous. It's just a matter of goods and services being exchanged, jobs being allocated in a way that the community is providing for itself, and through trade and bartering sustaining itself. It just has to do with there being no existence of currency. No government. It's just communal living.
So I think that's like where communism kind of goes wrong, where it's supposed to be stateless. I think your experience was probably more of a voluntary commune. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think once a government is established to enforce communism, you've kind of created a state.
But so, like what you're describing, it's not. Communism is stateless.
Right, but
so I'm saying if you're trying to say, if a government's enforcing communism, then it's not communism.
All right. Okay. So then we agree.
Yeah.
I've always had this idea.
There's no such thing.
I've always had this idea that I came more from conservatism, but I'm leaning more libertarian or away from the right now because, I don't really identify with the Democrats either. I've always felt like communism could work, but it would have to be like in a free and voluntary society. I think people in the United States should have
there's
the
a
ability
fundamental
to try
misunderstanding. You just have a belief that has been instilled in you by Western civilization, by capitalists who are protecting their right to privatized profit. Right? That communism is something that is forced upon people and people are deprived of things. It's not. Prior to capitalism, right? Prior to the rise of capitalism, which started in like the 16th, 17th century around in the British Empire, prior to that, there were many different systems that were communal because there was no money, right? So it's just, hey, we live in a village. Some people are millers, they're making the bread. Some people are the blacksmiths, they're doing this. And we're exchanging goods and services. Like economics that involves currency did not come around till the advent of privatized profit. It was just a part of life. Like, how do we exchange goods and services so everyone has what they need?
I guess I don't... Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
So I don't really feel like currency is the issue. I feel like it's the government when they make it so that you have to use the currency no matter what. I think if people were allowed to barter and trade or use currency at their discretion, then currency wouldn't be such an issue.
Can I ask you, you said you're moving away from, like, Republicans. You said you felt like you're leaning more libertarian. Why?
I guess a very nuanced question.
Thank you.
I don't think that Republicans or the current Republican platform really supports the ability for both parties to work together. I don't think the Democrat Party really supports the ability for society to work together either, though.
Why not? Why do you feel like the Democrats don't?
Because it's more or less like a kick and scream if they don't get their way, and then point the fingers. And it's coming from both sides.
Could you give me an example of that, of the Democrats not getting their way and then kicking and screaming?
Right. So Nancy Pelosi kind of...
There we go.
Turned me away from the Democratic Party a lot, where I hear all this commotion about Donald Trump spending $7 trillion during his presidency, but it's not the executive branch that appropriates money. It's the legislative branch.
It's also not the Speaker of the House that appropriates the money. It's a weird thing that you're like, I'm going to not blame Trump, but I'm going to blame Pelosi. That's silly, right?
No.
But what's the kicking and screaming that you're talking about? You said that Democrats, if they don't get their way, they go kicking and screaming. What are you talking about? Like, what's an example of that?
Right. Nancy Pelosi and her reaction to the first COVID bill, COVID relief. They weren't having it. She wanted to spend more money, right?
Yeah, she wanted more relief for citizens.
Yeah.
And you're upset about that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to blame Trump for all the money spent when the legislative branch is appropriating all that money.
I don't think anybody is blaming Trump for... If you have any understanding of how our system works, then you wouldn't blame Trump for that. But Trump does sign the bills, so he's part of it, right? Like, once it goes through the legislative process, he can veto it or he can sign it. If he signs it, he's in agreement with it, right?
Right.
So it's kind of... So
not
on your end,
exactly.
isn't it... No, exactly. No, exactly.
No. So what would happen if Trump did not sign the coronavirus
That's
relief
called a veto.
fund?
Then it would go back.
But what would be said then? It's just like it's a kick and scream no matter what.
Coyote, instead of saying there's a kick and scream no matter what, you should understand what does happen when the president vetoes.
What, the bill isn't passed? It goes back?
It goes back.
I think if they have, if the legislative branch has a supermajority, the president can't veto it.
Correct. 2/3, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, if the president does not agree with the bill, the president does not have to sign the bill. The president can veto the bill, and Congress can override it with a 2/3 majority. So if President Trump signed the bill, it's a silly thing to blame it on Nancy Pelosi. Right? It's fair to say Nancy Pelosi was part of it, but it's silly to say Trump wasn't.
No, I think he was a part of it.
Trump's having issues signing documents and then trying to alleviate himself of the responsibility of that.
But even then, this is just like a disagreement on policy. You said the Democrat, like, of course they're negotiating. Are you saying that all negotiating is just kicking and screaming?
I don't think anything passes unless the Democrats get their way. The Republicans put forth a bill, and the Democrats aren't going to sign it unless they have.
Well,
like,
we've under Joe Biden, we've had under Joe Biden, we've had multiple things come through Congress that were bipartisan.
Can you give me an example? Like, I know there was. I just like,
Infrastructure?
give me an example.
The infrastructure
Right.
bill, the CHIPS Act.
And is there anything a part of those bills that you did not like?
I mean, there's always going to be pork spending in everything that I'm not going to love. No bill is perfect. But they're not supposed to be perfect. They're supposed to be compromised. Our Congress is meant to compromise, dude. Like, somehow along the way, Republicans have come up with this idea. And look, some people on the left will criticize lefties as well. But like, Congress is supposed to compromise. Everything that comes out of Congress should be something that's a compromise. That's how it works. That's how it's supposed to work. So it was designed to be that way. But here's what I'm hearing out of you, and if I can just be really honest, Coyote, you recognize that Donald Trump sucks and the Republicans suck, and you don't want to say you don't want to be a Democrat, but you don't seem to really have any real gripes with Democrats. So you've just basically said that Nancy Pelosi negotiated. That's like your big gripe with Democrats.
Not exactly. There doesn't have to be
what are the
pork
gripes
in bills. Right, there doesn't have to be pork in bills.
I know, but there's pork in bills for everything.
VA spend, right? If VA spending, or let's take the COVID relief bill.
No, wait. I need you to answer my question. The question I asked you was, what is your gripe with Democrats?
You're assuming that there's always going to be pork in a bill, and I do not agree with that.
That's not a Democrat gripe. That's just about bills. That happens on both sides.
It is.
Again, so I'm going to ask.
Yeah,
wait, you think that Republicans don't ask? Okay, so I'm asking what your gripe is with Democrats. Something specific to Democrats that you're frustrated with.
Right, they're adding stuff into a bill.
No, come on, dude. Everybody's doing that. Stop it. What is your specific gripe with Democrats?
So exactly, you're ignoring the examples I'm giving you because everybody does it, and I don't think anybody should have to do that.
But that's the nature of a bipartisan bill moving through the House and being passed, right? There has to be something in it for everyone. There's the conservatives who are trying to conserve things. They want them to remain the same. They want no change. And there's Democrats who are looking at forward progress. So part of a bipartisan bill, both sides getting something they want, that's what you're describing as pork, but that's part of compromise.
So what was the compromise with the spending bills?
Which one?
Like the Republicans?
No, I'm not. No, you know what? No.
No.
Actually, we're not going there. I need you to name a specific thing that makes you like.
Right.
Why wouldn't you vote for Democrats?
Is not good enough for you.
Well, the thing that you're saying is literally what everybody else does.
Okay.
So if your opinion I'm not done. I'm not done, Coyote. I'm not done.
All right. Please don't interrupt me after this.
If your opinion is that you're not going to vote for anybody ever again, fine. But you said, I'm asking specifically if there's any reasons why you wouldn't vote for Democrats that are specific to Democrats.
Right. So if the Republicans do something that's not right, but the Democrats also do it, I should be okay with that?
So I'm asking, God damn it. I'm asking you to listen. No, listen.
Just because
listen with
the
your
Republicans
ears. Listen
do
with
the
your
same
ears.
thing
Shushies.
I'm listening.
God fucking damn it. No, shush. I need you to give me something.
You're going to ask the same question.
Yes. And
just because the Republicans do it doesn't mean that the Democrats should be able to do it, which is why I don't align with either party.
I know.
You have to shushy and understand me from my ideas.
Listen, Coyote.
I
said that, Coyote. I said, if your argument is that everybody does this, so you're going to vote for nobody, fine.
That's not my
argument. I accept that. Okay, well, with this line, like, if this is the reason you're not voting for Democrats, then you literally can't vote for anybody.
I can vote for a third party, but that we both know that we're not at a time in our country where
a third party also would do this. This is how Congress works. You're voting against the Constitution? Do you want a new Constitution?
What am I voting against in the Constitution?
Well, this is how Congress works, my friend.
Right. So parties can compromise. So what was the compromise for the spending bill for the Republicans?
All right. So let me just ask one more time before we go. Before we go, one more time. No, shush. I have to mute you because your background noise is horrendous. And if you're driving, can you please pull over so that nobody gets in trouble? You're not allowed to drive while you're in here. I'm going to ask one more time. I didn't ask you to unmute. Thank you. Your background noise is horrendous. Wait till I'm done. I'm going to ask you one more time for one specific thing that Democrats do that is specific to Democrats that means you can't vote for them.
The fact that they act just like Republicans.
Well, I just want to say, like, let's operate under that theory. Like, he's saying he's moving libertarian, which means he hates the state, right? He wants to abolish government. That's exactly what he's saying. But then the capitalists are still there. The privatized profit that is the reason our economy is like it is, and we're in all the situations we are. That all still exists. There's just no government to protect us from our corporate overlords anymore.
Yeah,
if you want to think about socialism, let's call it what it is from now on: economic democracy. Like that's what we want, is economic democracy, and it doesn't exist under capitalism.
This is what's frustrating. But I'm so frustrated because I want to have a discussion, but this is why I think we talked about earlier. We have a hard time with Republican guests because they don't even know what they're upset about. They have no idea. They just, like, again, what makes you mad? Nancy Pelosi, what did she do? Her job. Okay.
Those are the buzzwords, right? That's all they heard. They know Nancy Pelosi's making me angry. Like, that is not the problem. But he's also in the next breath absolving Trump of raising the deficit. But you know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Did you hear that? Like,
yeah. It's not his fault.
I just know Nancy's the worst. That's what I know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think we were getting a 2/3 majority to override his veto if he wanted to veto that.
He was talking about the spending bill, like the
COVID
that's
relief.
funding the government currently. I mean, that was a bipartisan compromise. That was Mitch McConnell got all the things Mitch McConnell wanted, as Mitch McConnell usually does.
He's the world's most
Take
successful
it up
turtle.
with Mitch the Turtle McConnell, the most powerful man in the DC swamp.
Now the box is empty. I think we finally ran off. I did bring up someone and then I dropped them. I can't remember what their name was, but I didn't mean to bring them up. I did see, though, Bad Views is here. Do you want to send a message?
Hi. Why do you do this?
Because I guess it makes you uncomfortable. And it's nice. It's nice. I understand why people want to make me uncomfortable all the time now. It's kind of a nice feeling to make others uncomfortable. All right.
People are making you feeling like want to make you feel uncomfortable in retaliation for the discomfort that you make people feel. It's retaliatory. Just so you know.
Well, first it was me. I was just me. It used to just be me up here, so I was the only one made to feel uncomfortable. I'm just happy to have somebody share this with. Doe. I'm just taking opposition right now. I appreciate it. I'll bop you out of it. Where is Gorilla? Did we hear from Gorilla? Has everybody sent this to Gorilla? Let me check my messages. I have not heard from Gorilla. He might still be looking on YouTube for that video that definitely does not exist. Nothing. Did you hear from Gorilla?
I'm messaging him again right now. I just checked. I didn't.
Let's make sure he gets that message there. I don't think I can share it. Did you guys all share it with Gorilla? That would be terrific.
Send Jay's last TikTok to Gorilla.
It's National Hiking Day. Hopefully he's lost. Oh, that's not nice. Yeah, and if you missed... Jesus, Jen. Jen, drop that in the mod chat, would you? If you missed it, I've given Gorilla an out. Instead of $500, $250, but Gorilla has to send that to Nina. With a note that says, "You're perfect just the way you are." So, we'll wait for that. Actually, can I check in here? I'm going to do a little check in here. See if this works. There we are. Hey.
Is this on fucking purpose?
Yeah.
You're my hero from last night. I really appreciated what you were saying in that live.
Holy shit. Fucking.
I know.
Honestly, that was the first time that I let myself kind of let the emotions of it all kind of take over, and I haven't talked about it publicly or with, especially 5 or 6 other people that have extremely strong feelings from, a certain standpoint. But I tried my best, and I tried to be, as respectful as possible and come at it from a humanity standpoint, and looking at it like, I'm a white guy in the United States that has no horse in either fight, so it's like, my perspective on it is obviously going to be different than, say, anybody else's perspective that may have a horse in the fight on either side. So we have to kind of just not lose our humanity in this whole situation, and not, you can't justify war by any means at any cost in 2023. It's just, you can't do it.
Yeah, I thought you did remarkably well, considering it was a tough situation, because the lion lady, like, she was going to be allowed to say whatever she wanted and interrupt whenever she wanted. Moderate Democrat had no control over that microphone, and had no plans to mute or stop that. I thought you slipped once, which was, listen, I thought it was funny. And I
did too, but I didn't. Honestly,
it
was the word that she said, RTP. Yeah. I didn't even have that word in my head. I was thinking about something totally different, and then she said it, and it came out of my mouth, and I was like, "What the fuck did I just say?" And I was like, immediately apologize. It's not why I come in there. I don't come in there to fight or disrespect or anything like that. I slipped up once, and I do apologize for that.
No, it was just some Boston coming out. That's all that was. It was a quick-witted response. But no, I thought you did really well, and I thought it was a really unfair format. But the point you were getting at, and maybe you want to elaborate on this, is I think the point that everybody shares, and when I was going to talk to him, I wanted to bring it up. It just appears to me that the people who are pro-Israel have to define everybody else as pro-Hamas, and they've turned this into this like two-sided thing where you can't, like, they don't have to criticize Israel because they can just point to Hamas, and then they can side with Israel, and part of it was bizarre to me. Just that they're our allies, so we have to support all the awful things that they do.
That's what I come at Rudy about. Yeah. Like, Rudy, you supporting any government 100%, no matter what, all the time is just inherently wrong. No matter what government it is, our own, an ally, an enemy, no matter what it is, there's no trust 100% in any government, and you cannot. The way that you hold your government accountable, or the government that you respect accountable, is by criticizing them and calling them out when they do the bullshit, and calling them out when they're, in violation of international law and the rules of war. I mean, that's how you do it. You can still have pride and passion in the country that you support while still criticizing their fucking, their mistakes and their failures.
You seem to have some sort of relationship, like, previous with Rudy. Like, you guys were on good terms previous to this.
We had this Israel discussion before any of this even happened. I remember very distinctly talking to Rudy about how his passion for Israel came from his father, and I respect that, and I have no qualms about that at all whatsoever. But that's when I told him, like, listen, you cannot support blindly. Like, there's no such thing as blind support. You end up falling into the trap yourself if you blindly support any nation, any government. It can't happen.
I always say, just from being raised like devout evangelical, like that perspective, like that is an evangelical perspective. Like the rhetoric you heard in that live was the same rhetoric like when I go to my mother's church that you hear. Or like my mother gives money to Israel. It's part of a prophecy. They believe they need to protect Israel. Like, so that it was like very eerie for me because I finally got away from the evangelical church. But last night hearing that rhetoric, I was like, oh, I've heard this before.
Yeah, the part that's hard to do, and I don't know who can talk to moderate Democrat and get that. I was trying, and I think that he saw that Athena had gifted me, and he was mad at Athena and Jones, so I think he thought I was coming in hot. I really wasn't. But I don't even know how you approach that with him. Like, he's wearing the cross around his neck. It's visibly apparent why he's taking a side here. And that's the part of these discussions that I've learned to fucking hate, is that people, specifically Christians, like they're choosing a side, and no matter what side you choose here, they have murdered innocent people, and that's the most bizarre thing, to be saying the things that were said with that cross around your neck, trying to represent those views, and then supporting Israel. And specifically, the Netanyahu stuff was wild too. He's like, yeah, Netanyahu's awful, but when this is all done, when we're all done with the bombs and the missiles and the hostages, then Netanyahu will go to court.
Listen, when your rhetoric almost exactly lines up with fascistic authoritarian leaders from the past and what they used to call the same people that you now fucking say you stand for, you know what I mean? They were also called rats and parasites and vermin and disease-ridden fucking animals. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
I just bought a brand new washing machine.
Check him out while he's at work. He's at work talking to us. Well, I just wanted to give you a chance. I don't know if there's more you want to say. I wanted to hear more from you. I know at the end, like, I didn't hear enough, so I just wanted to hear your perspective a little bit more. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
Sorry, I'm at work. Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm about to get fired from work because of politics.
Did you steal the whole wash apparatus?
No. Negative. I didn't.
All right. Well, I'll drop. Brian, come back anytime. I'll drop it. Now it's an awkward silence. I just wanted to get his opinion. I appreciated that debate last night. It's the first time I've ever attempted to enter that debate space, and it'll probably be the last, unless we wanted to host something. Felice, you and I talked about this last night. It was your idea, actually, about hosting debates. But I would love to see a rational debate about this that's not a panel. I would love to see like a one-on-one debate. Whether it's I would love to see Athena actually and Moderate have an actual conversation. Athena might.
And we can discuss the format, but it should be like 15 minutes, 15 minutes, or 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like there should be a back and forth, and people are able to present two sides of information. Yeah. Not just shouting.
What are we at? 12 o'clock. What do we want to do? We want to go to more stories, or should we just open up the box? It's your show.
It's Friday. Let's talk to people. I personally would like to.
Anybody's welcome. Box is open. The only thing I just want everybody to be cognizant of, we're not doing like a big hangout necessarily. Let's keep the conversation moving. If you have something you want to talk about, let's talk about it, and then we'll go. So I'll kind of cycle
like
through
current events, political stuff, just things like that.
All right. First up is Yo Papa. Oh, is this my Papa? Welcome.
Hey, yes, I am your papa.
Oh, cool.
I just wanted to say the reason I don't want to vote for Democrats is when they eat, their beard moves. It's a joke. Sorry,
I don't get it.
You did not get it. Never mind. It worked in my head.
Okay.
Is your picture Marcel the Shell?
No, it just came up random from the AI filter thing. I don't know how to leave.
That's all right.
Thank you for letting me.
I didn't get it. Some people laughed.
Oh, I don't know. I don't get
get
it.
it
If someone
either.
wants to explain it to me, I don't know. Do
Jen,
Democrats have a lot of beards? Is that
I don't know if that's a beard. Yeah, I don't know if that's like a beard joke, like using a beard in like the LGBTQ community. I don't know if that's what that was.
I don't know.
Allie.
Hey guys, what's up? How's it going?
Good.
Good. Hey, listen, I just wanted to take a second to drop a quick plug for my fundraiser tomorrow. The Big Healthy Body Project is an organization that me and my co-founder have started to combat weight stigma in healthcare. And we're hosting a 10-hour live stream tomorrow from noon Mountain Standard Time until 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on my channel, and it'll also be on the Big Healthy Body Project channel. And I'm very upset with myself for how crazy my ADHD brain works. But for every $500 that we raise, I'm going to take a pie to the face. And I am like so disgusted thoroughly already, but I'll do it for charity. And so I hope that everybody can make it. We're going to have some people coming in as guests to talk about some of the various issues around weight stigma, and we're going to be, obviously explaining more about what our organization is about and what we're doing. And also, if anybody wants to get involved, please feel free to DM me. Right now, I'm currently looking for stories from large-bodied individuals around bad experiences that they've had with weight stigma in exams, so that I can put them in the curriculum I'm writing for. We're writing our first curriculum to educate medical providers about it. So if you guys could make it, that'd be great. We just need 250 people to donate $20. In other words, $5,000 is what we need to get started so that we can hire the legal firm to legitimize all of our paperwork and do all of the fun legal things that I know absolutely nothing about. And then we'll have a little extra for incidentals that come up. And then after that, we're hoping we don't have to fundraise traditionally anymore from the crowd, but that we'll be able to write for grants instead, and then just make sure that we're getting the money in the right places so that we can just be helping people instead of constantly having to ask for money. So anyway, I just wanted to plug that really quick.
I love it. Hey, you're a lunatic for going 10 hours, but I love it. And you'll have I'm assuming some sort of like Cash App or Venmo people can donate that way.
Yeah, so I've got Cash App. I'm sorry, I can't do Cash App. It won't let me do two on my account, but I do have Venmo. We've got an Indiegogo account set up, which is like GoFundMe or Kickstarter, and then we also have PayPal available. And I'm trying to get that link tree in the bio to be a hot link. I don't know how to do that yet, but I'll figure that out tonight. So you'll be able to go to my account in my bio and see that in the link tree, or the Big Healthy Body Project's account. Same thing. All gifts that we receive either on my account or on the Big Healthy Body Project account will go towards the overall goal as well. And I'm just super excited. I find it funny, though, that you think the crazy part is the 10 hours and not the pie in the face.
No,
The 10 hours is
because we're on lives like all the time. That's a long time.
It's a long time,
it's
yeah.
dedication. It's our ADHD too.
That's true.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a challenge, but I think I can do it. And
That's
also,
awesome.
if anybody wants to hop in as a guest periodically to keep things moving, that'd be great. I would certainly welcome it. All of my help on the ground, like with me, is gone, so it's gonna be me and my co-founder across the country.
Well, we're gonna get Z-Pack there to sing for you for a while. We'll make sure
I like
Z-Pack's
it.
there to sing.
Right?
Alright.
Only if you'll harmonize, Jay.
And you'll drop that in the Discord as well, right? The link when you go live. Perfect.
Yep.
And we
All
should
right.
do a VC about this topic sometime in the Discord. I want to plan more like small breakout group conversations where we can do like little educational sessions, and this would be a really good one.
Yeah, I would love to do. I'd love to participate in that.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Allie. See ya. That 10 hours is so long. By the way, if you guys are going to go there and donate and you want to donate, might I just suggest, instead of coins, I know they're fun, but with this going to a good cause, do your best. If you can, use Venmo or Cash App or PayPal. Only 30-ish% of the money goes to the creator when you do the gifts. So just, if for a good cause, if you can, try and donate that way. Nurse Mana.
Yes, Nurse Mana.
Mana.
Mariana is my name.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm a healthcare advocate, Universal in Washington State, and we have a bill in our legislature for single-payer healthcare, basically the run-up to, where we could cover everyone for everything with no copay, no deductible. And I wanted to ask if you wanted to look. You can read the whole bill on our website, which is Whole Washington.
She's breaking up.
And
It's
also, I know you guys live in a different
wholewashington.org.
state,
That broke
and
up.
We also have our connected.
Real quick, you just broke up a little bit. It's,
Yeah, WHOLE Washington. Yeah, sorry.
Awesome.
Wholewashington.org, and we even did the funding mechanism study, so that we know how to pay for it. We can definitely pay for it on.
I'm gonna
state
read
level.
this. I love this.
Although we do advocate for. Yeah, me too. I do advocate. We all advocate for a national system like the Medicare for All, Bernie and Pramila written the bills for, but we think we could definitely be more like get it state by state if we try hard and we communicate and do all the things. So we're also connected to another organization called One Payer States, ONE Payer States.org. And that is a collaborative with different states who are fighting for universal health care from the ground up. You know, like New York has a bill that's pretty close. California came close at one time. But, you know, the establishment kind of, you know,
they do
took that out. But Utah has a bill or has a movement and one of the board members for the One Payer States is Dr. Joseph Jarvis in Utah. And he is definitely, he's a Republican advocating for universal health care. And then the last thing is, what was that last thing? Oh, we
by
have
the way,
a
your website is awesome. By the way, your website is
Thanks.
so good. It's laid out really well. Everything's easy to find. It's easy to find the bill. Well done on the website.
Thank you. We're another thing to say is we are an all volunteer effort.
That's amazing.
We have contracted with people, to do like certain promotions and we did pay a campaign director for a short time or for a year when we were gathering signatures, running up to gathering signatures for a ballot initiative, because we have tried to gather enough signatures for a ballot initiative in Washington a couple of times. One time was interrupted by COVID, so that was a tough one to not, in Washington you have to do a wet signature, so you have to go face to face, have them write it on the paper, to sign. So yeah. COVID was not a good time to do that. And then we have we are some of our volunteers and activists for whole Washington are in a movie, documentary movie called oh my gosh. Now it's left my brain. I think it.
Let me look. It's a universe. I'll just find it. America versus the World. Oh, I think she's probably just looking it up. This is amazing. Are you on the website?
I absolutely love this. Yes,
Yeah,
I love
this
the
website's
I'm
great.
all up in here. Like I was just looking like how they define who gets it: houseless, not employed in Washington temporarily for a job, traveling temporarily out of state. And then there's non-residents, so students attending college within the states, non-residents employed within the state, the spouses or domestic partners and dependents of eligible non-residents. I am loving this. I'm going to consume this entire website.
Oh yeah, we may have lost her. Nurse, I don't know if you know that we can't hear you if you leave the screen. I don't know if you are talking currently, but if you are, we can't hear you because you're on a different screen.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Okay.
The documentary is called Healing Us. Healing, Healing Us. And he's doing a tour. Kenny Ballantyne is the director, and they're doing showings in different cities. And if you would like to have a showing in your city, you can contact Kenny Ballantyne. He has healingus.org is his website, and I'm sure there's contact links on there. And he will bring the movie to your area and have a showing. You can get as many people as you have connection to in your state or in your area to come and see the movie. Like I said, narrated by Susan Sarandon, so that's pretty cool.
Awesome, thank you. You gave us so much. Thank you. And my mom lives in Washington, so I appreciate what you're doing there. Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah. I'd like her to live a long time, so I appreciate the work you're putting in Washington there.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, mine too. We from our movement and pushing for this and gathering 130,000 signatures the first time we ran the ballot initiative, we have pushed Washington State, the legislature and the governor's office and everybody to do what establishment people do and running a study and having a committee and all the stuff. And that committee, the Healthcare Authority, has concluded that single payer is the only way that we can help the most amount of people. And so having a state acknowledge, on the establishment level that that's the only way that it's going to work is huge. And the volunteers for Whole Washington deserve all the credit for that. I mean, we brought in unions and all this, trying to collaborate and use all of our power to get this change, because already 70,000 people in Washington State don't have health or more than that, sorry, they die because they don't have health care. I'm a nurse, and I'm tired of like looking at my patient who just was diagnosed with abdominal cancer and her saying, I don't want any treatment because I don't want my husband to be bankrupt when I die.
Yeah.
That's not okay. It's not fucking okay. And we can change it, and we can change it from a grassroots level this way. At least puts a lot of pressure.
Well, I gave you a follow. You're incredible. Thank you.
I'm gonna follow you as well.
Thank you for all of that.
Thanks, guys. I watch you guys almost every day. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Come back again sometime.
All right, no problem.
And I dropped that link in the Discord. Let me let these gifts pile in real quick. Let those finish up before those are done.
Wow, gifts.
Yeah. But thank you so much for what you're doing. I mean, this is the stuff, both Felice and I, like, this is near and dear to our heart. This is what we want. I love that there are states that are, for two reasons. One, you're taking care of the people, but two, you're showing that it can be done. And I love how simply the funding mechanisms are laid out here on your information page on the how we pay for it. So many times you go and you find an organization like this and they don't want to be transparent about how they're funding it, and I love that. So what you guys are doing is incredible. Again, the website is maybe a bigger tool than a lot of people realize, but kudos to you. Well done, and let us know if there's anything we can do to help.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to come back and talk to us, update us.
Yeah. Sure, anytime. We're on all the social medias too, so you can.
And everybody in Discord,
TikTok page, but
everybody wants you in Discord. If you're interested in joining the Discord, shoot me a DM and we can get you in there. You may find some people that can help you. Oh, you are.
Yep.
Okay.
Who are you in Discord?
God, we have the
Same
best
name?
Discord ever.
All right. Well,
It's wholewashington.org for anyone who needs that one more time. WHOLE Washington.org.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much.
The whole apple. Okay. Thank you, guys.
We'll see you. Bye.
Take care.
Oh, that's beautiful. People doing good things. I like people doing good things. That's a fun
I just
way
also
to
think
do
change
Friday.
happens. Like, you have to lobby state by state, and we need to lobby federally and meet in the middle. And that's like when change will happen. And this is all about education, because it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. We should have health care. Our children should have health care. Every other developed country in the world has universal health care. Like, we should be able to go to the doctor.
I like seeing Big Block in here crying, universal healthcare sucks. Imagine being the person who's like, we don't want people to be taken
Tired of people
care of
getting medicine.
because socialism bad. Like, guys, you're dumb now. Like, everybody knows you're dumb. Stop being dumb. Big Block, I like you just fine, even though you don't like me very much. But don't be dumb anymore. Just be undumb. Diva!
Hi.
Hey, did your state fall into the ocean yet, or are you guys still there?
How are ya?
Wonderful. How are you?
Good. It's hard to follow.
Yeah. You better have
But,
something. You better have some initiative you're pumping right now. You better invent a website real quick.
That sounds awesome. Well, I don't. However, I will tell you that I am working. I'm working part-time for a nonprofit in California for benefit access and equity, helping people get, I guess, access to benefits more equitable and easier.
What's the name of the organization?
BAE, Benefits, Access, and Equity. And I do all of their administrative stuff. But we, excuse me, I don't know why my voice sounds so weird today. But when I applied for the job, when I saw the job posting through the Mom Project, I don't know if you're familiar with that
Yeah.
career site or job posting site.
Yeah.
They do a lot of, when you get an interview, they send you a voucher for 1 hour of childcare. So you can have you can pay someone to watch your child while you interview. It's a great job board for people looking, and they have a lot of remote jobs, because I'm in Florida and I'm working for them in LA. So it's a great, but I also wanted to tell you, and the reason why I joined that and why I was so excited when I applied for that job is because I have a burning passion for trying to help drive change, but I don't have a big enough platform or people to listen to me. And as you know, I'm covered or surrounded by MAGA in Florida, and including my own family. I'm from an evangelical family as well.
I think
And
covered
so,
is the right word because it's kind of like moss on a rock. It just kind of covers you, and it's really hard to get rid of. So I think that was the right word you chose there.
yeah. And I don't have anyone to talk to. I don't have anyone to really advocate with, though I am working on my mom. We've had some really good conversations recently, and I've started to turn her mind a touch, but it's my evangelical father who keeps her knee bent, but I'm trying. Anyway, but I felt like I could be part of something bigger than myself. So I really advocated and talked to myself up a lot to get that job just because I wanted it so bad. But I told him that. I said, I want to be part of something bigger than myself so that I can feel like I'm doing something with this passion that's burning inside me without much place to put it. So it makes me feel like I'm doing something really bigger than myself, which is awesome.
I love that. That's awesome.
And
I mean, this is relatively new. I don't, right? Just in the last couple of months you started doing this?
It's been a few months now, but because I was
Yeah.
just getting my feet wet learning the nonprofit world and all that, but it's been an incredible learning experience. And I've planned 2 convenings for them, which are in-person meetings, which are the same thing as conferences, but they call them convenings. But, trying to do that from Florida all over the state of California was really challenging, but it's been fun.
That's awesome.
Is there a
But
website that people can look at?
yeah, let me get that for you. I do not know why my voice sounds like this. It's really weird. I sound like a frog.
I love how you touched on childcare. If universal healthcare is so important, but so is childcare. And I mean, we can call me a communist if we want, but like if we want capitalism to be
Commie.
productive, provide, developed countries that use socialist programs and provide for, economic democracy, provide childcare because that's so expensive in this country. And a lot more people could work if they didn't have to watch children.
And I
Like,
think that's one of the reasons why, well, yeah, I 100% agree. I have 2 kids who actually they're twins. They'll be 10 on Thanksgiving Day. So, and they're both, one's autistic and the other one's neurodivergent. So it's been fun. And I have ADHD too. So it's a real neurospicy house here. But I wanted to just encourage you.
Great.
I know
Don't
you-
say, now I've got to pay Jones some trademark money because you said Neurospicy. There goes my coins for the day. Now I got to use Jones's trademark Neurospicy, and I'm out all my earnings for today, Diva.
I've been saying that for a long time. I
Is
thought
it
that
not?
was-
I've only heard him say.
Oh
it. I
no, a
didn't know.
lot of people. That's been said for years.
All right. Well, then
That's a thing.
he just hoodwinked me into paying him. Then I guess I just got
That's
hoodwinked. Then yeah.
That's right. It's a way of saying it so it doesn't sound like it's a negative thing, like it's kind of a good thing, like we're neurospicy, we're not, nothing wrong
They
with
say
us.
that in early education, childhood education classes that I took.
I know you guys liked it having opposition, and most of the days are only opposition, only opposition, only opposition. But I think that maybe you could weekly do a Friday thing, maybe where everybody can come up, because that's where we get a chance to get off some of the things we may have wanted to say in some of your lives or things we might want to share. So I think it's a good idea to let anybody come up like on Friday. And I do have
It's a good
I
idea.
agree.
I have a website for you. It's called benefitsaccess.us. So it's benefits plural and then access.us. And this is the network, this organization that I'm working with right now. But excuse me. I hope I'm not getting sick because this is a weird froggy voice I've got here today. I think I had one more thing to say. But anyway, I love you guys. I did see you RTP last night in that live with Boston Brian, and it was wow. And I was even said to myself, I've never heard RTP be so quiet.
Yeah, I hated it. I really hated it. But I tried to offer an olive branch. It didn't happen.
Lion was really, 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 I mean, no one could say a word without just getting railroaded. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's how it went.
I am. I'm trying to be mean. I usually am. I'll be the mean one.
And for anybody else that was asking, someone was asking what the job that I was talking about, the job service, I guess you could call it. It's called the Mom Project. And it's basically, it's like a job board like Indeed, but they're very selective. There's none of the jobs are hoaxy or scammy. because the companies contract directly with the Mom Project, and then the Mom Project pays you. So you're not a direct employee, you're kind of employed through them. So all the jobs are legit. And I've never seen a single job that's ever been below $20 to $25 an hour, no matter where you live, and higher. But I'm just saying I think 20 is the minimum that they pay.
It's amazing.
This is amazing. I love this.
I think we're going to talk as a team after this. I think we probably need to create a network of resources like this inside the Discord so we can help people find this. Diva, I looked. Are you in the Discord? I don't think so, right?
I am. Uh-huh.
You are?
I am in the Discord.
I knew that.
I thought you were. I just didn't see your name.
I can't always participate, but I listen every day while I'm working because I have two jobs. So I do medical billing for an ophthalmologist office, and then I do the work with the Bay Network. So
Okay.
I listen all day, but I can't always fully participate as far as chatting and stuff because I'm working.
You're just not active right now. That's why I didn't see it. That's just me being a boomer. I was just going to say I could have sworn you were in there before. Okay, well, thanks, Diva. I appreciate it. And good idea on the Friday thing, by the way. I like that. We're going to talk about that.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So love you guys, and have a great day. And my goodness, I'm losing my voice. I have no idea why. Anywho, deuces before I lose it completely.
Thanks, Diva. We'll see it. I think Diva is the person that's been a mod for me the longest. Diva, I think, became my mod the night that we had the Athena thing all happen. I think then Diva became my mod that night. Kimberly!
Hey!
Hey.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. Since everybody's coming up talking about what they're passionate about in timely manner, I'm very excited because there's an organization that I've been supporting that I'm very excited about. They are, it's a documentary actually that's being created, and it's called 1946 the Movie. And they are getting released into theaters for the very, very first time. And it's a limited release. It's in New York, LA, and London. And it's the first week of December. So if anybody's in those areas, New York, LA, or London, the first week of December, you can support this documentary by going to see the movie. It's being produced by, I think it's the person that did For They Know Not What They Do and For the Bible Tells Us So. It's the same producer. So this
Is that a
documentary,
woman? Is it a woman?
so the person that did those is a guy, but the person that's doing this one is a woman.
Okay.
And so the director of the film is a woman, and her name is Rocky, and she basically does a documentary chronicling how the word homosexual made it into the Bible to begin with. And then it does a whole thing about how that changed culture and society, but going back to it wasn't supposed to be in there in the first place, and showing how it made it in there. So it's very interesting. Again, the movie and the documentary is called 1946 the Movie. If you're in LA, London, or New York the first week of December, please, if you can, go out and support it. If not, you can go to the website and support it there if you want to. But that's what I wanted to come up and talk about.
This looks awesome. Yeah, just looking over it. This looks amazing.
What if the word homosexual was never meant to be in the Bible? This is, and as someone who has a history degree, it is fascinating to realize when different Pope councils met and decided this is an issue we need to tackle. Now we're going to change interpretations of the Bible based on that. Yeah, it's fascinating
Yeah,
stuff.
it's wild. So I had the privilege of being in the room when some of this was actually being filmed. I didn't know about it, and I happened to be at a conference and they were filming this documentary or parts of it. And ever since that moment, when I saw what was happening and was able to be confronted with the truth of it all, my entire life has changed.
This looks great. I see that I'm actually.
Bye, Jay. Jen, did you kick Jay from his live?
Oh, no, my battery was dying. That's what happened. And
That's on the bingo card, y'all.
I had
Hit
a
that spot.
notification. There we go. Thank you. I didn't have it charging this whole time. That was a close one. Yeah, I was looking at the release dates in LA. Maybe we could figure something out. This looks great.
All right. Well, that's what I wanted to come up and say.
Thanks,
and happy
Kim.
Thanksgiving, y'all.
Thanks, you too. You're wonderful.
You too.
Happy Thanksgiving. Or
Kim is so smart. Kim always makes
Indigenous
me feel
Genocide
dumb.
Day, whichever one is more appropriate.
I always feel dumb when Kim's around. She's so smart. Next up was... What was the name here? Ship and Sam's card of something.
How you doing, guys?
Good, how are you? Cards
I'm
of
good.
Chaos.
I just want to tell you guys thank you. Kind of from the bottom of my heart. It's nice that you guys are offering this platform for us out there. I've gone through a lot the last 3 years. I was diagnosed at the age of 13 with a rare muscle disease called syringomyelia. It's a progressive disease, and have never gone on disability until 4 years ago when I finally had to because of that. Kind of a side note thing that happened to me 3 years ago is I also have congestive heart failure. It's hereditary in my family, and almost lost my life. I spent 14 days on life support at the University of Washington here in Washington State, and have not walked since then, but am getting strength back slowly but surely. I do have caregiving services now. A good friend of mine is my caregiver. My wife, my secondary caregiver. We've been married for 30 years this year. And it's just a frustrating system medically because they don't want people really to get better in this country. They want things to just continue. And it's acted more like a business in this country than it should be. So it's nice to see that you guys are offering a platform out there, not just for things like medical in this country, but just for things that are right for everybody, not just that 1% that it thinks that they're better than everybody else. So, I mean, I have a college degree. I majored in developmental psychology. I worked from the time I was 16 on until about 4 years ago. Finally, I worked so many hours that the disability that I had to get was SSDI, which is a little different than just regular SSI. My benefits health-wise aren't as great, so I've had to struggle getting equipment. I finally did get after 5 tries of being denied, got at least a manual or a powered wheelchair that I could use. My arms don't work, so I have to have a thing called a head array, which is operated with your head. And now we're fighting to get a standing frame table so I can even stand up again because the strength's coming back in my legs. But without something of assistance, it's not doing me any good. It's just kind of stagnant. So it's been a long road, but people like you guys give me hope again. And it's nice to see like-minded Democrats out there and people that really want to make a change for the country moving forward. So I appreciate that.
I appreciate.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you. I was looking into that. This is the part that breaks my heart every time, and this is the people that sit in the comments and say that we don't need healthcare, that there are people that are just leeching off the system. Like, these are real problems. This is a person who did everything they can to make their life the best they could, and through no fault of their own, they're now on SSDI, which I think like SSDI that has like work requirements or something too, right?
You have to put
That's the
so
main
many
difference.
work hours in through it. So I mean, like I said, I worked full time up until about 4 years ago. And had I still worked, I probably would have died because I probably would have been at work when the second issue with the congestive heart failure came forward. Part of that issue was the doctor had taken me off of water pills. And if people don't know what that does to somebody that does have heart issues, that water retention then builds up and then goes straight to the heart. And basically you would perish if you didn't get medical assistance. So, it's not a fault of my own, but a doctor deciding, no, you don't need them now, takes me off of something that was actually helping me, and then it actually hurt me more than it helped. So, very frustrating experience going through that. And luckily I'm here. Luckily the caregiver I have is also a close friend of mine. She's like a daughter to me. And, she does what she can, but the system right now prevents my wife from even going back to work because she's my secondary caregiver. If she went back to work and made only $400 a month, it would put me over a threshold where I'd lose caregiving services, which is also frustrating because with my muscle disease, I need that. I need help going to the bathroom. I need help eating, drinking, everything I do, taking my medicines. So it's a broken system, and there's a shot that I could at least get better to where I could stand and walk again and do some of the own things on my own. But without certain equipment that, tens of thousands of dollars that they have to come up with, it's been denied 3 times and it's not going to go through. Fortunately, I had a couple classmates from high school that are going to be stepping forward and purchase that outright for me. So, I mean, at least there's some hope, and I know that there's still good people out there to do that.
Yeah, but that's the fucking shame of this whole entire thing, and that's where we as a country should be ashamed that you have people who are need things just to exist like the rest of us, like, and we're relying on friends from high school. We rely on GoFundMe's. We rely on the generosity of others just to live like normal people. The most powerful country in the world, the richest country in the world, with every resource at our fingertips, and we still have to fight these motherfuckers every single day that are like, socialism bad, we can't take care of our citizens. Like that. How many more stories do you have to hear? Like, how much more of this ice needs to be chipped away from your heart before you can recognize that, like, we have a real problem here. And the real problem is that we don't give a fuck about our citizens. We care about corporations. We care about making money. We care about the military. We care about funding all these conflicts. And meanwhile, there are real people suffering every single day who are reliant on the generosity of others. And that sucks. It really, really fucking sucks, and it makes me mad. Sorry for all the language, but
No, I appreciate that, because it's the frustrating part for me too, is coming from a person with a disability. It's not cheap if you have a disability, and things are upcharged more than you would realize. Just a vehicle alone, everybody else can go out and buy a new vehicle for possibly $40,000 or $50,000. If I get a vehicle, luckily my parents stepped forward and bought that for me. I have parents that love me very much, and I was very fortunate. But if I had not had that, just to get to a medical appointment would take 8 hours to do that, because you have to give them a 2-hour time window to pick you up. Then you have your doctor's appointment, and then you have a 2-hour time window for them to pick you up to take you back to your home. So, I mean, it basically would keep me locked in my house forever. And it was almost like a prison that I didn't ask to be in, that the system is forcing me to be in. Like I said, I'm very fortunate to have parents that are very loving to me. I'm an only child. They've been very good to me, and I love my parents very much. But it shouldn't have to be their responsibility to go out and spend the extra dollars just to get something for me to function every day. People take things for granted, like going to a store. Up until a year ago, I wasn't allowed to even do that. I mean, my biggest trip was being rolled in a wheelchair down the block. I mean, so people take things for granted in life when something can happen to anybody at any given time, and that could change. And it's a system that shouldn't have to work the way it does. I have a cousin that has an ex-wife that is from France. She has dual citizenship just for the fact that France's healthcare system is remarkable. France also offers, you were talking about daycare. France offers daycare. Every time she'd go over, and she had younger kids at the time, daycare was taken care of if she needed to go out and do something. I mean, other countries get it so right. So many other countries that are not as great as the country I live in that get it right. And it just doesn't make any sense to me.
What is Cards of Chaos, by the way?
We do sports cards as well. I collect sports cards, so we've done sports cards on here from time to time and talk about sports cards. So that's kind of just a side hobby I've had since I was 8, probably. I'm 55 now.
That's awesome. We'll have to talk about it. When I first stopped working after I sold my business, one of the first things I did I was doing like live sports breaks. I was doing those on eBay.
Yeah, that's what we have done too as well.
Yeah, so that's cool. We'll have to talk about that. Are you in our Discord by chance?
I think I am, yes.
Okay, what's the name in Discord?
It'd be the same, and I'll check it again to make sure it's signed up properly. But
yeah, hang on. We need to talk about some sports cards. Finally. Okay.
And I followed you back. It's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
And I was in the live last night as well with everything, and that was it was crazy. It was one of the most ridiculous things I think I have seen on here in a long time. And I wish it hadn't gone out. That with Boston last night, I appreciate him 110%.
Boston Brian's a fucking national treasure. I love that guy.
Something like that, and kudos to him as well. So
awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. I think these kind of stories bring a human element to what we're actually battling. We can talk and debate all day long, but that human element, that's really it has an impact. It really does. So I appreciate you coming up and being, courageous and sharing that story. I really appreciate it.
RPP, you'll have to tell me who you PC one of these days. Maybe I'll send you a couple cards.
It's all, you listen, I'm looking at your thing. It's all Niner stuff. So.
Oh, we're seeing up here. Uh-oh.
Yeah. PC is like Steve Young and Dirk Nowitzki. Those are like my two PCs.
Quick side note, I did actually get a chance to meet Steve Young.
Nice guy, huh?
He actually, yes, very much. We went to a Monday night football game. I believe it was the Fail Mary game. Like Russell Wilson's first year. And we were out in the car, and I was having a hard time getting up just because of my mobility issues. And he actually came over and helped us stand up, which was way cool. You don't see a lot of athletes that would do that, but he came right over and said, "Can I help you?" And real cool.
He's a uniquely good person. I had some experiences with him when I was a kid. Some things he did to me. I'm not going to share on here, but uniquely good person. We'll have to talk offline about it.
My family is also from Salt Lake City, so
there you go. Sorry about your family.
But yeah, the Mormon side of it was still there for my family as well. So.
All right, it was nice meeting you. Let's talk in Discord.
Thank you.
All right. You bet. Thank you. That was close.
I'm feeling like emotional today.
That's what I was to say. Yeah,
that
was close on me for some tears there. It was getting close.
I'll cry. I'm not
Do
afraid
it.
to cry. I'll just sob.
Hi, happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday.
I am coming to you guys with some updates on the marinara decriminalization front.
Okay.
So there is a bipartisan bill that has advanced through the Senate Banking Committee. It actually did that back in September. It's called the Secure and Fair Enforcement Regulation Banking Act, or the Safer Banking Act. I wanted to bring this up because it will eventually be coming to the Senate floor to be voted on. But last time, I don't know if you remember, we were talking about how my state, Colorado, is looking to do banking reform, and that's essentially what this is. For those of you that don't know, if you are essentially found to have banking and like marinara related proceeds under our current statutes, like the Anti-Money Laundering or the Bank Secrecy Act, you can face up to 20 years in prison. And right now there's kind of like a gentleman's agreement, I guess you would call it, where the federal government is like, well, if it's legalized on the state level, we won't really step in, but we don't exactly want to trust that. So essentially what this Safer Banking Act is aiming to do is amend all of that. So there's not that threat of penalty or punishment.
Would that allow like dispensaries to use banks and to not be an all cash business?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it would allow them to use normal business banking services, and then have access to things like loans, capital. So call to action, guys, call your senators, bring up the Safer Banking Act, or send them an email, comment on like their Instagram, whatever. And tell them to look into that and tell them that you want them to support that. But yeah, that's all I had.
I love that. Thank you for the update. My friend that owns a dispensary has been watching that very, very closely. And the other thing it does is it lowers the barrier to entry for people who want to get into not only medical marijuana, but recreational. The barrier to entry is so high because you have to have so much cash on hand just to start the business. And so this would allow people who are passionate about this, who maybe have a history in the industry. It's not it's not been an industry that's been around for a long time, at least not legally. So this is something that also is directly giving access to businesses for people who don't have access to a ton of cash. So this is a great bill.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it really started the medical and recreational marinara businesses really started as something that was more grassroots, something that was more small business. And so it sounds like we want to bring it back there. And like you said, one other thing to note, there are also, I think they said it was a group of 20 congressional Democrats that are also reaching out to Janet Yellen and the Treasury to have them update their policies so that businesses who have been penalized in the past for like banking violations, it won't be held against them. So we're always down for that.
This is also
retroactivity.
Yeah, it's also received like kind of tepid, I guess, a tepid embrace by some banks. I think Bank of America, MasterCard, and even the NRA have like tepidly said, yeah, we got to do this. And obviously for the NRA, they just understand their base. They understand that I think NRA will likely be the linchpin in when we actually decriminalize marijuana, or at least unschedule marijuana, because it's affecting people who are purchasing guns. And so I think the NRA will be a huge advocate. Eventually, when they find their balls, they'll probably be the tipping point for the descheduling of marijuana. I think they will have a huge role to play in that.
We'll keep an eye out. But thanks.
Thank you.
I'll be if there's other marinara related news.
Yes, stay lit.
Yes.
Yeah, she might already be. All right, we got 10 more minutes. There are people still in the box. Yeah, this is getting really popular now at this point. I think MasterCard originally opposed any of this stuff, and now they're on board. So MDLA got me feeling like a champion.
Hi.
Hey.
So I really love you guys' lives. I watch like every day. I've learned so much from you guys, and like just keep up the good work.
Thank you.
So I did want to talk about like maybe like having healthcare like for everyone. So like for families like mine. So I had a son recently. It was like two years ago, and he was born with something called CMV. I'm sure a lot of people have never heard of it. I've never heard of it until it happened to me. So there's a virus called cytomegalovirus that almost everyone comes in contact with in their life. It's related to herpes. And in certain times, it can be active or inactive. But if you catch it for the first time while you're pregnant, it can have detrimental effects to your fetus and your child. So a lot of children, it's actually one of the leading causes of disabilities that no one's ever heard of. So like a lot of children can be born with like microcephaly, low birth weight, enlarged liver and spleen, have seizures, damaged eye retina, hearing loss, motor delay, vision loss, microcephaly, and a lot of children can even have fatal results and pass away. So I unfortunately got the virus when I was pregnant, and my son now is hard of hearing. So he's deaf in one ear, so he requires a hearing aid and all that type of stuff. And if it wasn't for healthcare, I'm from Massachusetts, so we're a blue state, so we have a lot of social services. So
it's my guy Mitt Romney.
Yeah,
Romney, that's Romney care.
I'm very
just
fortunate.
another W for Mitt Romney in this live. He's racking him up.
Fun fact: I actually met Mitt Romney when I was in high school. I took I did like a summer program to work at the State House, and I worked with like the counselors, and I actually met Mitt Romney. He's a pretty nice guy.
What a blessing that was for you. You got to shake the hand of the Mitt. Yeah.
So like if it wasn't for my health insurance, like just a hearing aid alone costs well over $5,000. Yeah. And my son has something called a Baja hearing aid, which is like a bone anchored hearing aid. But since he is still young, it's just like it's like goes on the bone behind the ear and like sends vibrations to the good ear. And if I didn't have health insurance, I would not be able to afford that at all. And on top of that, he because he was born with CMV, like the effects, you never know what can change as they get older. So right now he only has hearing loss, but they can always have like developmental delays, motor delays, and things like that. And Massachusetts has great programs where if you have a child who was born with CMV or some type of disability like that, they can give you free sign language classes, because I don't know the first thing about being, around someone who's deaf. Like, I've never had that encounter before. So I have to learn now a whole new culture, a whole new language. So I feel like people don't think about that aspect. Like, there are some things that are completely out of your control. Like, I didn't know I was going to get a virus or something that would affect my child to that extent that they now have physical disabilities that is going to affect them for the rest of their life. And I think people don't take those things into perspective.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats. 1 in 200 babies is born with congenital CMV, and 1 out of 5 babies with congenital CMV will have symptoms or long-term health problems. So 25% of the 1 of 200 babies are going to have long-term health problems. So again, it just further proof. I'm so glad you live in Massachusetts. That's
too,
great. Like, yeah, thank God you don't live in Tennessee. They would have just put you in a trough. They would have put you in a trough and said, "Figure it out."
I just want to highlight, we should learn ASL in school. Like, that should be a part of public education. We should all be able to learn sign language.
And thank you, Boston Brian. And I just wanted to admit that not everybody from Boston has a Boston accent. I don't know if you guys hear it, but I've been born and raised in Dorchester, Roxbury, Mattapan. I don't have a Boston accent. So.
Okay, say Dorchester again and tell me you don't have a Boston accent. Say it one more time. Yeah,
Dorchester?
one more time.
Dorchester? So maybe just a little bit, but mine is not as thick as Boston Brian's, though.
That's true. That's very true.
But Mass Health also, what people don't think of, it also pays for the programs like early intervention, occupational therapy, and things like that, that if I didn't have health insurance or, I didn't have a son who was born with that in Massachusetts, I would not be able to afford any of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're in Massachusetts. And I hope things work out with your son. That's fucking, I don't know. Like, my baby gets a sliver and I lose my goddamn mind. So I don't know how you deal with that, but.
Right. It's a long journey. I'm just trying to educate myself as much as I can about deaf culture and learning sign language and giving him the best opportunity. So speech therapy and all those type of services that Massachusetts provides, I'm going to take a lot of advantage of, because I just want to make sure he has, the best foot forward in life, and this issue doesn't hold him back.
Good. Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing that for us. I learned something new today.
No problem. I just want everyone to be aware. So if you're pregnant, be careful, because the highest people who transmit CMV are children, and it could be through saliva, whether your kids eat off of you or you change their diaper. Make sure you practice good hygiene, because it can happen to anyone.
Practice good hygiene, Republicans.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, what an amazing mom. Thank you so much.
I love that Jen just brings up the guests. I like this part, unless you're doing it.
It's not me. She's
I think
great
it's
at
Jen.
this. I don't think either of us should be in charge of anything.
I think it's... Hey!
I wanted to tell you my quick story, and I may have told you this before, RTP. I know your name is Jay, but you're RTP to me.
I'll be whatever you want me to be. That's fine.
And this is the first time I've ever spoken with Felice, so hi.
Hi, it's a pleasure to meet you.
It's very good to meet you. I've been watching y'all. I love you. You're amazing. Your knowledge is amazing. It's very very respectable. I love it. You too, RTP, but she's new.
Yeah.
You
I
already
get it.
knew I love
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, so I came on here to tell you about this story. After I got out of the hospital, long story short, on a very drunken night after my son's death, I tried to self-unalive. And it was just a horrible, horrible time in my life. And I ended up taking 26 Xanax. and hit the floor, was unresponsive. My daughter came home. She and her husband had gone to Oklahoma. I did not expect her to come home. She came immediately right back home. She found me on the floor and called the ambulance. They pumped my stomach, intubated me, admitted me into the ICU overnight. And then the next day I spent the night in a regular room. And then the next day they moved me into the behavioral health unit. And while I was in there, it was like jail. It was like jail. They take everything away from you. You don't have any freedoms. And I saw a counselor twice in 6 days. Each time was to talk about my medication management. They sent me home after I overdosed, sent me home with 4 new prescriptions. 2 weeks later, I get a freaking letter in the mail from the hospital. My insurance denied my claim, and I owed them $96,000. And now I've got addictive medications, easily accessible, and I have chosen not to do that. You know, I take the antidepressant because I probably need it for the serotonin. I've got major trauma experience that killed my ability to produce serotonin. So I do take the antidepressant, and everything else is just on a very as-needed panic attack moment, because I know what it does to your system to be on these addictive medications. I know what it does to your liver. I know what it's doing to my health and my overall quality of life. So I started eating Delta 8 gummies. They're legal in Texas. And that has helped me. It has helped me to not feel so depressed all the time. After my son's death, I lost 40 pounds because I stopped eating. I had no desire to even eat. No appetite whatsoever, but those things give me the munchies. They make me want to eat. And I'm actually eating to survive now, so I'm eating healthier. So I think the big pharma industry, coupled with our country's solution to our mental health issues, is a freaking joke. I'll tell y'all, while I was in there, and please don't laugh at me. I will laugh, but I'm not trying to make this, I'm not trying to make this a joke about anybody's mental health, but this was funny to me because while I was in that behavior, I'm sorry, am I making you cry? I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. I just know what you've gone through, and you're able to laugh at this, but I know what this stems from, and it just kind of breaks my heart a little bit. So I'm just listening. You're good.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Jay. I really do. Anyway, I was sitting in the puzzle room and I was doing a puzzle of the universe, and I started thinking about Ricky Gervais. Y'all know who he is? He's got this series on Netflix called Afterlife, and it's hilarious. But Ricky Gervais I laugh at him all the time. I'm sorry. He's very inappropriate, but he's hilarious. And I was sitting here thinking about what he would say about our mental health care in this country. And he could just have a ball with it. He'd talk for an hour and have a ball with it because it is a freaking joke. So I'm in there thinking about him and laughing while I'm doing this puzzle. And the nurse walked by and she looked in the room and she goes, "What are you doing in here?" Because I was in there by myself just laughing in the mental ward. So I can laugh about it. I think it's funny for me, right? So anyway, she walked in and she goes, "What's so funny?" And I said, "Do you know who Ricky Gervais is?" And I go into this big, description of that little series on Netflix because it was funny. So, and I told her what he would think. I said, "Do you know what Ricky Gervais would have to say about the mental health solution in this country. And she goes, what do you mean? And I said, people who end up here, because like 80% of the people that I was in there with 25 other people. 80% of them were in there for the same reason that I was. People just feel hopeless, right? And she goes, yeah. And I said, so this country's solution to this hopeless feeling, where your life is just so freaking painful that you don't even care to live it anymore. This is our country's solution, is to put you in the equivalent of jail, strip you of all your freedoms, and just give you more medication. I said, it's a joke. Y'all, this is before I got the $96,000 bill. I was saying it was a joke. While I was in there, I was thinking, nothing in here is that you are a medicated number. And we have got to fix that. You know, we talk about all of the problems that are going on in this country. I guarantee you the majority of them that people are suffering from, it's mental illness, and we're not doing a damn thing to help anybody. And this is a fact. You can Google it yourselves. Y'all, this is a scary thing. For every 100 people in the United States, there are 43 opioid prescriptions written. For every 100 people. And we think this is somehow going to fix things, is to get people addicted. So, I mean, we need to legalize marijuana. We need to do it at the federal level. We could actually, seriously, get ourselves out of debt so fast if we would just legalize marijuana.
Well, look.
I mean, you know they're going to tax the hell out of it. What do they do in Colorado? 28% is tax?
We have a big tax here. It's tax
22. I don't know. I just heard.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. Just recreationally. Listen, if you make it to Arizona, I'll get you some of that TH9 or the 9 instead of the Delta 9 instead of the Delta 8, and
yeah,
really,
I mean the Delta 8 bottle
it.
of gummies I have says it causes cancer.
Oh, terrific.
There you go, Big Pharma. There's a big handout for you, because what are they making every year?
$96,000 to save your life. Like medical bankruptcy is the #1 bankruptcy in this country, and it's a crime against the people of America.
It is criminal.
And medicating people and locking them up versus recognizing like we're all dying inside, right? But the way our mental health care system works is to say, hey, you're the problem. We're going to teach you ways to change how your brain works. The system's not broken, right? You need to keep functioning within capitalism and keep producing so we can make privatized profits. We're going to teach you how to reteach yourself because it's your brain. Don't look at the larger problem around us. Yeah, I 100% empathize with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm better now, y'all, and I am able to laugh, Jay, because the Delta.
That's right. Well, I
mean, seriously, before I was just completely numb because of all the medication, and it's a better option. The THC is.
Listen, it's always the best option, and I'm sorry. I do have a hard cutoff right now.
I know. I'm sorry.
I gotta take. I gotta take.
Thank you so much.
You're good. Hey, I love you. Thank you for sharing your story.
Shut up, Frodo. Sorry.
Shut up, Frodo. Thank you so much, and come back again soon. Keep us updated.
Okay, y'all have a good day.
But you're loved. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
What a great Friday. Thank you guys for sharing your stories. They were touching.
Anything else you want to add there?
No,
please?
I'm done. I'm gonna go cry in the bottom of the shower. Just reset, and then gonna be live tonight.
Yeah, we'll be with Nemo tonight. Starts at, you said 8 Mountain Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So make sure you're following Nemo. We'll be there as late as we can deal with it. Usually I'm the first to go, then Felice, and then Whisper, and then Nemo is a lunatic and he stays up all night. So. If you're looking, listen, there will be plenty of debate tonight. It'll happen. It always happens there. So you can catch us tonight on Nemo's Live.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks,
Have a great afternoon.
Yeah, you too. We'll see it. Look, everybody else, 9:30 a.m. to 1, or, well, yeah, what are we? 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time every day, Monday through Friday. if you could follow us on YouTube. We're slowly building up that channel. Felice's content that you see on TikTok will start showing up on YouTube. It'll show up in the shorts. We really do want to make a transition over there, just so that, as you've seen with the transition of this show, it's harder and harder to get debates, and we want to cover important stories. But part of covering important stories comes with pictures and videos and charts. There's only so much we can do with our voice. We want to have a more presentable product to you for the mornings. And so we're working diligently on that. Whispers behind the scenes, creating that right now. So make sure you're following us on YouTube. I just changed the YouTube name. I think it's now at RTP Talks. That way it goes together. But make sure you're following us there, as well as on Instagram and Twitter. We'll move to Facebook here soon enough. But thank you guys so much for the support. It's awesome that we can host a live like this, where at the end there's no opposition. We still have 700 or 800 people sticking around to hear the stories. I love the community that we've built. The Discord is incredible. If you're still looking for an invite to Discord, shoot me a message. I'll get that over to you. Thank you to my mods. I'm going to make sure I get everybody here today. You heard from some of them. You heard from Diva, Lynn, Yolanda, Fee, Kimberly, Whisper, Jen, IB, Korean Leftist. Thank you guys so much for moderating. It's not an easy job to try and deal with the people that I make upset. So thank you, of course, to Felice for putting her heart and soul into this. Literally, the toll, the emotional toll that sometimes it takes is not lost on me, especially for Felice. So thank you, Felice, and I will see all you guys tonight. Boston Brian, MVP from last night. We'll see everybody else later tonight. See you.